What's up, listeners? Welcome to Predator vs. Movies. I'm Alex.
I am Peter.
I made it. I can't do that.
Oh my god, dude, that was not it.
And this is a donut inside a donut where we discuss and review the latest movie releases. We'll start off with a non-spoiler review before diving into a deep discussion of the film. And then we'll ask the most important question: would this movie be better if the alien from Predator was in it?
You sound
This
a little bit like
week-
Sully.
No.
Lars never tell me with Sully.
No, it's much better. This week we'll be reviewing Glass Onion with our
Oh, that's
special
good. That's good.
with our special guest, Ethan.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
Yeah.
But before we get into our first segment, the news segment, we have a little Christmas wish for you guys. If you're listening right now, please leave a review and a star rating on the podcast.
Just
That's
leave
our-
a little review. Come on, guys.
Or as our Hanukkah gift, or as our whatever holiday gift, non-denominational holiday gift, give the gift of a like and a star rating on whatever platform you listen to. Thanks. Anyways, let's get into the news. So first off, The Rock delivered a statement on social media regarding his status in the DCEU. And we're going to read part of it because this is fun. Do we want to do it in the Benoit Blanc voice?
If you want. I can't do it if you want to.
I want to. Let's take turns though. I did a whole bunch of Benoit, so let's hear from. Let's start with Aidan because Peter's is gonna be ass.
Oh, man. I can't even. Okay. What part do you want me to read? I'll read the beginning then.
Yeah, you can read the beginning.
My
Oh, lost.
passionate friends, I wanted to give you a long-awaited Black Adam update regarding the character's future in the DC universe. I don't know. I can't do it.
No, that was good. That was good. Peter, you disappeared for a second. Was that because I offended you?
Dude, I don't know why. Like, all of you froze. I think
It was
it
weird.
must be
You
internet or
you
some shit.
blipped. Anyways, do you have the Rock's statement in front of you?
I do.
I can pull it up.
Okay.
Obviously, I do.
Okay, I have the next part. James Gunn and I
Oh
connected.
no.
Black Adam will not be in the first chapter of storytelling. However, DC and $7 have agreed to continue exploring the most valuable ways Black Adam can be utilized in future DC multiverse chapters.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Well, I think that like the most interesting part to me is later he says in the next paragraph, he says, and I'm just going to drop the X. He says, James and I have known each other for years and have always rooted for each other to succeed. It's no different now, and I will always root for DC and Marvel to win and win big. And I can't help but feel like that's him trying to jump ship into the,
Oh, you think?
into the Marvel plot.
I think it's just so funny, like how very carefully this is worded.
Mm.
I almost wonder, like, if someone else wrote it for him. There's
Yeah.
some like the next.
I feel like no. I feel like he would never let that happen.
You think there's
Yeah.
one of my favorite lines is these decisions made by James and DC leadership represent their vision of DCU through their creative lens.
Yeah, just a nothing.
That's
statement.
a nothing statement.
Yeah.
That means literally nothing.
Yeah, so James Gunn is like making movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're doing stuff right
Yeah.
now. And then he ends it off with now we all need some Terramana, which I believe is alcohol.
Nice.
Just based on context, that sounds like an alcoholic drink. So yeah, Black Adam, unsurprisingly, is not part of the DC.
Yeah, he unsuccessfully changed the power hierarchy. He failed to change the power hierarchy.
Let's not get it wrong.
Actually,
I think The Rock had the biggest hand
Actually,
in
that's true.
affecting the power hierarchy.
he just didn't wind up on top of the power hierarchy of the DC universe. That's true.
You just kind of like smashed through it and
Yeah.
made it fall to pieces. What was left of it. So that was fun today. we got some news about Todd Field. He said that there's a new short film in the Tar cinematic universe called The Fundraiser that will be releasing, I think, early next year. That's very exciting.
That's funny. I wonder, like what is it about Tar? Like, is it still following Lydia Tar, or is it someone else? Or
I don't know.
and if it doesn't, then how is it? Like, that universe is just the world. Like, you know what I mean?
That's true. Like maybe she's trying to fund something. I thought it would be Mark Strong's character. That was my guess.
Oh,
what
yeah.
was his role? He was like a benefactor or something.
Yeah, he was like a rich guy who was like born rich, and he was a bit of a sycophant. And
yeah. Ethan, what do you think? Have you seen Tar?
I have not seen Tar, unfortunately.
Really?
I missed it.
That's surprising.
It's a good one.
It is a very good one.
I wanted to, but I was in the Hallmark labor camp at the time.
Oh no!
I could not leave.
That's unfortunate. Peter, did you see Tar? I forget already.
Dude, we were literally on the episode together. Come on, man.
These episodes blur together, and you're like not on half of them. So sorry, man. Anyways, what do you think about the benefactor or the fundraiser?
That's cool, man. Like, I thought, like, usually movies like that is like a one-off, and the fact that we're getting opportunities to see more of the world, I think is always fun. So I'm open to the idea.
Yeah, cool. Next news, last episode, which we record, breaking the veil here, but we only recorded 3 days ago. We're recording this one a bit early to avoid Christmas, but we had a discussion, more of an argument about what exactly the Scream poster says, Scream 6, because as a reminder, there's a slash through the M, so that the M becomes a V and a 1 that are soaked red.
An I, actually.
And sorry, yeah, and then a V and an I, and then the other part. So we're wondering, does it say screeny, where the M becomes an N and an I, or does it say screevy, where the M becomes 2 I's and a V? So we did a little poll, and I'm going to try and find the results now.
Okay, we know what the results are. You know it. You don't interrupt it. You know what happened.
Well, I was on the wrong account. I was on my personal account.
Yeah.
Okay, I found it. Okay, so in second place is Screeny with 1 vote.
Yeah, that guy's smart. That one guy is smart.
Definitely Aidan who voted for that. And in first place, Screevy, a whopping, what is that? 4 votes. Hey, I didn't vote, so I promise there are 4 other people on the internet who agree with me. So there you have it, folks. It definitively says Screevy.
I'm gonna keep saying Screeny.
That's okay. Other news for this week. We got the first Oppenheimer full trailer, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And I have to say, it looks very good. I'm surprised, personally.
Dude, you're surprised? Dude, never doubt Nolan, bro. Never doubt Nolan.
I mean,
I think he's given some reason to doubt last couple of years.
Tenet looked fine, but like this looks really good.
It reminds me of do you know, like, I don't even know like what era or country, so this is gonna be super vague. But when they were experimenting a lot with like painting on film and just making like images like that aren't real things, they're just kind of like swishing like pixels and grain and stuff like that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, you mean the cutscenes to like the nuclear?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I know what you mean. Like in the experimental filmmaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no idea what era or country that is, but yeah.
I think that those like CG images are really cool.
Yeah.
I also think like Cillian Murphy is going to be like, did I say that name right?
It's Cillian Murphy.
It's Cillian,
I think. Okay. I knew he would have something to say. Cillian Murphy's performance, like I feel like this is one of the few times Nolan is like actually being like, yeah, let's look at the actor and what their face is telling me, instead of like bang bang bang, like all the explosions.
Focusing on character a little bit more than literally naming the main character the protagonist.
Yeah. Speaking of explosions, there was a bit of news based on that. I think Aidan has something to say.
Yeah, so we are a little bit behind on this. I think this broke before our last episode that this happened. But Twitter was talking about the fact that Christopher Nolan reportedly created a nuclear explosion completely practically. And it was like very vague as to how he did that. Like, to be clear, we don't think he set off a nuke, but he was able to recreate a nuclear explosion without using any CG, and just like the vagueness of that statement and the implication that he just set off a nuke in the middle of Arizona or something.
Yeah, I think what I heard was that he replicated one of the earlier tests with like an actual bomb, and I mean, I love practical effects, so I fully support this as long as he didn't actually nuke anybody.
Dude, I just like
he like killed an entire town and like rendered an entire section of America inhabitable.
I'm like pretty sure he didn't do that.
I just remember when it first got announced that he's going to take on this project, everyone's joking that, oh shit, he's going to do it. No, everything impractical, he's going to set off a nuke. And this motherfucker actually did it. It's crazy to me.
Nolan's gonna Nolan. Speaking of Nolan, Peter, I know that you're a humongous Nolan fan.
Nolan's chair, one might say.
Love Nolan.
Love Nolan. So what do you think about this little Oppenheimer?
Like the trailer?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Dude. I mean, okay. I think.
What do you think about the historical figure from the 1940s?
I think it looks great, man. Like, I think this type of movie is all about focusing on, being responsible of creating such a destructive device while balancing, like the meaning behind that. Like, this device is created more as a deterrent than as like an actual weapon, but then it's actually been put into war, and how that affects the creator itself. Like, he basically gave birth to this device, weapon of mass destruction, and how does that impact him? While I think he himself is more like a man of science, all about discovery, creation, all that. So, and like, I personally don't know a lot about Oppenheimer. I think everyone heard about like Einstein and everything, but like less people heard about Oppenheimer. So it's really cool to get a peek into history, and having Nolan, which I'm curious how he's gonna factor like time, which is something that he loves to play with, into this movie, because this is more like a lot more historic. Like in Dunkirk, we have the sort of like parallel timeline thing. I have no idea how he's gonna execute it for this movie.
I think it should just play in reverse. Just rewind it backwards. No, actually, you bring up a good point. Like, I wonder if this film will be controversial. Like, how do you think Nolan is going to handle the idea of like atomic bombs? Because like Peter mentioned, like the morality of creating the atomic bomb
absolutely
is dubious, to say the least, right? Like, was it a deterrent? Was it the right thing to do, kind of thing? Like, I wonder if Nolan is going to be able to tackle that well.
Well, I think it's less so about the commentary on the weapon itself and more about how the creation impacted its creator, like how does that affect the life of Oppenheimer? And we see it through like his lens.
Do you think it will wind up being a cancel culture allegory? Like, they canceled him for making a nuke. Like,
no, I don't think that. But like what Peter's saying, like, that could be like, oh, sad white boys made a bomb and now he feels bad, kind of thing. Like, like almost anything. Well, with the internet, people can make something out of anything. So I wouldn't be surprised, but. I think it looks good, and we've got first looks at Robert Downey Jr. and Joshua Peck, both of whom like I haven't really. I haven't seen them in like a serious role in a while, and I feel like this could be like the first good Robert Downey Jr. performance since Iron Man. Maybe.
Dude, I really thought RDJ retired, but then I found out that he might be attached to do Sherlock Holmes again.
Really? Like the Guy Ritchie once?
Was it Guy Ritchie? I didn't know that.
I think Guy Ritchie did that.
He's been wanting to do those movies for a while. or the third one of it.
I thought those movies were fun. I'd be down to
It
see
is
that.
Guy Ritchie.
Yeah.
I did not know that. What about the second one though?
They're both
Also
Guy Ritchie.
Guy Ritchie. Anyways, there was another trailer that Aidan would like to talk about for a little documentary.
Yeah, so this is one that we also kind of missed. That it came out like the beginning of the month. But if anyone's familiar with Channel 5 on YouTube, it's like a YouTube channel where Andrew Callahan and his crew like go around to different like niche subcultures and like radical like protests and stuff like that. Like they've gone to like White Lives Matter rallies and stuff like that, but also just like music festivals. And just like kind of like looking at America's underbelly. And so Andrew Callahan is teaming up with HBO and A24 for a new documentary called This Place Rules that's going to come out on December 30th. And it's going to detail the events leading up to the January 6th riot. And I think that's pretty interesting. I wanted to bring it up just because I know that like I watch Channel 5 and I know that that's like a big, it's like a very growing and like surprisingly well-respected journalistic channel considering how goofy it is a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm interested to see this.
It's a missed opportunity not to release 7 days later on January 6th. You know,
they could do that.
Wow.
Yeah, but for those who don't recognize the name, you said Andrew Callahan, right?
Yeah.
He's the guy who goes to those like alt-right rallies, and he has curly hair, and he asks them questions and just kind of lets them talk and say like the most random shit, and he doesn't react or like his reactions are pretty minimal, and he's like, oh, okay, sure, yeah, and he just lets them like say whatever the most random shit they have to say. But yeah, I also watched the trailer, and it does look very interesting, and so I think I will also check that out. We got a 9-minute behind the scenes look at Mission Impossible 7 Devastating Part 1 of the lead up to Tom Cruise's big death defying stunt where he drives a motorcycle off a cliff.
Yeah.
I have to say, I'm more excited than ever.
Yeah, it looks sick. Like, I mean,
it gets your heart pumping, man.
If I could choose one franchise to never end, it would be Mission Impossible. Like the last 3 movies have been some of my favorite action movies I've ever seen. I get excited for them every single time.
And dude, and the fact that when I first saw the sequence, my first reaction is, surely this has been done before. But then actually, this is like the first time ever that this has been done practically, with the actual actor as the stuntman.
But it's like I was like, oh, that feels like it's not as crazy as stuff they do until it gets to the point of the video where he's doing it, and it's like, oh my god, that's crazy.
I just really appreciate them explaining it. I feel like if you just watch the stunt itself, it's like, wow, that's cool. But then you think about and like you actually witness all the effort that goes into the background to make this happen, and you're just like, that is crazy.
The logistics with the math and stuff, that was the most crazy thing. Like how they have to figure out like, okay, if the breeze is like 2 meters per hour to the left, like
absolutely. And the fact that after all that, they still need to make sure that it looks good on camera. Not only he needs to land this, he also needs to look good.
Yeah, I was thinking about like being like the drone operator would be so stressful for that. Like, what if you just miss the shot?
If you just like, can we just do that one more time?
No, if you fuck up the drone shot, you could kill Tom Cruise. So like, don't do that. That would be less than ideal. Yeah. And the craziest thing is not only like does he do that once, he did that 6 times.
6 takes,
yeah,
absolutely crazy.
That's insane.
And I saw this one Twitter comment that absolutely cracked me up. It was like, when Tom Cruise and Nolan collaborate, it will be the death of both of them.
Yeah, I did see that. Ethan, did you see the behind the scenes teaser?
I did, and I can't help but thinking, this is the start of my intro into my Michael Bay agenda. But I think that Michael Bay would do a really good job with one of these movies. I think that if any of you have seen Ambulance, then you will know that he is elevated to a new plateau of filmmaking. and genuinely, like, I'm no word of a lie, zero irony in this. I will be the first one in line if Michael Bay ever does one of these movies, because I think what he could do in drones with Tom Cruise driving off a cliff would push cinema forward at least 30 to 40 years.
Dude, I still can't tell if you're joking or not.
No, I am dead serious, man.
I don't know. No. It's a no for me, but
I'd be interested to see it.
it would be something. I think they would both like just bond very quickly over explosions and stuff like that. But yeah. Last bit of news. We did thankfully debunk this as fake before we started, but there was what we realized was an advertisement for Glass Onion on Zillow, like trying to fake sell the mansion that's where the movie is set, and it's it's quite funny to look at. So the thing is listed at $450 million, and it has like the glass onion on top of it and everything. And the type is listed as extravagant island commune. It talks about central heating and stuff, but like it doesn't actually say anything that would like that plays into the movie. I like that on parking it says one rooftop parking space, which is a thing in the movie. And then yeah, it just goes on, and lots of pictures from the movie, but none of the cast are in there, so that was funny. But that ends our news segment, so I'm gonna get into our like classic segment of talking about what movie we're watching. So we watched a couple weeks ago Glass Onion: A Knives Out Mystery. It's written directed by one Ryan Johnson. Stars Daniel Craig, Edward Norton, Janelle Monáe, Catherine Hahn, Leslie Odom Jr., Jessica Henwick, Madeline Klein, Kate Hudson, and Dave Bautista in this stacked ensemble cast. The DP was Steve Yedlin. It's a runtime of 2 hours and 19 minutes, a budget of $40 million. And a little fun fact is that back in 2021, Netflix bought the rights to the Knives Out franchise, sequels, what have you, for a whopping $469 million, which is a hefty amount. Before we get into our reactions for the movie, we have a little game we play.
Oh, we sure do.
It's called Predacritic, and basically there's a website on the internet called Metacritic where critics' reviews and scores of a movie are averaged out for an average score out of 100. If it gets 60 or above, it's green. If it's 80 or above, it's must see. If it's in the 50s, it's yellow. And if it's in the 40s or below, it's red. So we are going to guess where Glass Onion lands. And actually, I've been thinking we should do this differently, because every week I'm like, okay, who should go first based on like trying to like game the system. Like,
do you have an order figured out?
Yeah, I'm just gonna do a random number generator.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Or wait, wheel of names.
Should we implement a guest goes last policy just because makes it easier?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. We can do guest goes last. Yeah. But I actually have a proper wheel spinner that has people's names on it now. This is great. It's called wheelofnames.com. Shout out. We will chill out for
we will be accepting sponsors.
Yo, are they sponsoring this?
Sponsor wheelofnames.com. So I'm going to spin the wheel to see who goes first for this game. Oh, this is so fun. You can't see anything.
Yeah.
And it's very fun. Aidan goes first. It's also a visual medium. You're right. So the
podcast. Okay. Well, I think that critics generally liked this movie, but I think they generally liked it less than the first one. If 80 and above is must see, I'm wondering. I'm kind of thinking like high 70s, like maybe in the 70 range, because I'm also thinking like it might have been like low 80s. But I don't know. I feel like I've been guessing too high recently, so I'm going to go 75. I'm going to go with 75.
Well, how do I do this?
You got to take his name out.
gonna figure out that website later, but it just started applauding in my ear, so it was weird. Next off is Peter.
Ooh. I'm gonna go with the mid 75.
Hold on.
That's what I guessed.
That's the exact number.
Wait, that was your guess? I thought you guessed this high 70.
No,
That's not a number.
This
I can't guess high 70.
This proves that my theory that Peter has selective hearing, and he only listens like 50% of the time, and he misses like vital information. Like you can go back to our podcast, and we'll say things, and then like he'll ask questions immediately after, being like, "Wait, what'd you say?" Okay, that's so funny. 75 has already been guessed. So we have to
Okay.
pick a different number, Peter.
I will spice it up then. I'll say 78.
78. Okay. I guess that means by default I go next. Fuck, 75, 78. I feel like I'm just in agreement. Like I don't know if I can. I don't think I can get out of this one winning, but I think I can get out of it
77.5.
So, I'm just gonna try not to lose. So I'm gonna go with 76.
Okay.
So like
Okay.
I'm not on either extreme.
You can
I won't
lose,
lose.
yeah.
Ethan, what do you think?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I was also gonna say 75. So, but I've been. I'm gonna say 79. I'm gonna roll the dice. I'm gonna roll the dice.
Well,
no, I'm safe. Let's go.
Now this is interesting. Rolling the dice paid off handsomely. It got an 81.
No.
And Ethan wins it. Ethan loses again.
Man, I used to be good at this game. What happened?
The tides of luck have changed on Aidan. So as the winner,
2 minutes.
this is great.
Man, it sucks now because there's actually a punishment for losing. So it actually sucks to lose.
So as the winner, Ethan, you get to either go first for the non-spoiler reaction, or you can choose someone else to go first.
Okay, this is not with the synopsis, though, right? This is
No.
The synopsis is later.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll go first for the reaction. Sure.
All right. What'd you think of this movie?
Okay, well, I'll just preface this by saying I had not seen the first one when I went to go see the second one. So I went in kind of just expecting a pretty good movie. And I would say that that's pretty much exactly what I got. I think that I really did not expect like the most thrilling, cerebral, like 3D chess puzzle of all time going into this, so I was not disappointed. I thought it was pretty fun. I don't know. I thought there's a couple jokes that were definitely pretty what are those in Black Panther.
Yeah, no, I get that.
But I don't know. I thought it was pretty good, and I watched it again last night on like 1, 2, 3.
I was gonna say,
dumpster
not on
movies.
Netflix.
Yeah, and I was interrupted every 15 minutes by a 5-minute long ad for a company called 1xBet that I think only functions in the Middle East. So, but I watched it a second time, and I still thought it was. I was less impressed the second time, but I was less impressed than the first time, but I still thought it was pretty good. And yeah, I don't know. That's about it. That's about as much as I can say as a non-spoiler reaction.
Okay, if you had to give it a star rating out of 5, what would you give it?
5 is a little tough. If it was 10, I would say that's a mean 7. But I don't think it's a 3.5 movie. 3.5 out of 5, that is.
That's very interesting because those are equivalent. So.
I know, but it's like the scale is definitely.
Oh, you think the scale changes?
I think the vibe. I think the vibe of those two ratings is different.
Sure.
But I would say it's like if I have to go by letterbox terms, I'd say it's a 4.
Okay. So
and would you recommend it?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I would recommend it. I would say it exactly like that, though. I would say, yeah, I would go see it.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. That I think I was doing that with Avatar actually. Like people were like, "Should I go see Avatar?" And I was like, "Well,
Yeah.
yeah, well, you might." Getting into falsetto there. Ethan, who should go next for their non-spoiler reaction?
How about Peter? Peter, you can go next.
Okay. So I love the first one, like a lot of people. And even though in this one we don't get Chris Evans's amazing sweater, we get we get fucking, I don't even know what's like the staple of this movie.
The glass onion.
Like
the
like
swimsuit.
the style
No,
wise, like
Benoit
fashion
Blanc's
wise.
swimsuit.
The
The sw-
ascots.
Oh yes, and the ascot. But the Among Us skin. Do you remember Benoit Blanc's
Dude,
bathing
I was
suit
gonna
Among Us
save
skin?
that for when we actually talk about the movie, but
That's a spoiler, yeah.
yeah, that's
That's not
sort
a
of a
spoiler. I
spoiler.
didn't
You
say
just spoiled the
anything.
movie.
I just said he has an Among Us skin. That means nothing. It's not
So
a
I think this movie did a very good job preserving like the soul of the first one, where like a story is sort of told to you twice from a different perspective. Both in the first time, despite it's like missing crucial information that will solve the mystery, it doesn't feel like the story is anything less. If you guys get what I mean, like the story is still
yeah.
complete, like it makes sense, but then when it's told the second time, you're like, so that's how that came to be. And I think Ryan Johnson did it again with this one. It's exactly like the first Knives Out, that sort of like as the chapters progresses, it turned from like a whodunit movie to like an even bigger mystery, and he did it in a way that it makes sense plot wise, and also like another brilliant twist in how this one unfolds as well. So if you like the first one, I'll say definitely go watch this one. You would love it. And like for general audience, I think Netflix did like one of these rare, it's like occasional, like very rare Netflix W when it comes to acquiring new properties. Like we see like Witcher sort of flopping, like all these like Wheel of Time. No, I think that's Amazon actually, but like Netflix's recent acquisitions haven't been the best. And I think this one really paid off. Like it's just a very entertaining movie, suitable for like basically people in all age group. And like the fact that Netflix is releasing it at the time of Christmas just tells us that they know what they're doing. So 4.5 out of 5 for me. I think like it's not perfect for sure, but it is wildly entertaining, and I had a great time in the cinema. So 4.5 out of 5.
Cool. Let's hear from Aidan. What did you think?
Yeah, so I had also watched the first one prior to this, and I liked the first one, but I wasn't as like quite as impressed by it as other people were. But I always thought that it was like a really fun, good movie. It's like I love seeing that kind of movie, and I thought it was really fun. Yeah, going to this one, I think that it didn't quite like it wasn't quite as good as the first one, and I think the first one works better for me. I have some problems with like the way the story unfolds. I agree with Peter that I like the way Ryan Johnson does it, where it's like it like goes back on the story and you learn different details and like you see a different angle of things, and I think that's cool. But I just wish that I wish that certain things were set up a little bit differently, I guess. But I think Daniel Craig is really fun in these movies. I think they're really fun to watch. I think it's like yeah, I think like it works as just like a really fun movie, and I think I gave this like 4 stars on Letterboxd. I might in my head now, like thinking about it more, it might be 3.5, but I'll go with 4 stars for now, and I'd say yeah, I'll recommend this to anyone because I think just about anyone could have a good time watching this.
Cool, yeah. We did watch it together, and I feel like again, like our reactions are kind of synced up just because of that.
Yeah.
I rewatched Knives Out for the first time in a couple of years, actually last night, just to prepare for this episode, and it occurred to me like that having seen it before, and I think twice before, I could not get that same level of like suspense and stuff like that. So like that's never gonna come back, and that was unfortunate. But nonetheless, like I still love that movie. It's very clever. It's funny. I didn't remember every single part of the mystery, so there was still like a bit of intrigue there. And Yeah, just watching that one again really reminded me of all the things that I didn't care for in this sequel to it. I found that Knives Out is constantly peeling back layers where Glass Onion, kind of like with the name, doesn't really have layers. It's you can see the center the whole time, and it doesn't really do anything with it. You've both mentioned that we go through the events of the story twice with different perspectives, and I actually really didn't like that. I found that really annoying, and instead of kind of like putting out plot points and allowing the audience to try and figure it out along with Benoit, it's very much like the audience is being told what's happening, and even then, like, I didn't fully follow along for some of it because it's just so much information in very quick succession. So I got quite annoyed at that. The cast is great though. Great ensemble cast again. The comedy is sillier, and I found it funny, and it's like a good time. Glass Onion is a good time, but I lost that intellectual like joy I got from Knives Out in this one. I just found the comedy was a little bit cheaper. And yeah, I mean, I think the commentary is good, and I like all the points Ryan Johnson's trying to make. It's just I don't think this one is quite as fully thought out or intelligent as its predecessor. So I was left a little disappointed, but I had a great time in theaters. So I would give it a 4 out of 5, and I definitely would recommend it to people. I think people would really get something out of this, even if it's not this in the same vein as as the Knives Out original. So now that we're done with our non-spoiler reactions, it's about that
Aidan.
time.
Yeah, dude, I actually
Your
like.
time to
I
shine.
don't know if I can do this. I'll try my best, but
It's been a while.
I don't remember the plot like well enough to give. This is gonna be very general.
Yeah, we can help
Yeah.
you. We can help.
Because I couldn't possibly
not
tell
gonna
you
help.
some of the specific details. Okay.
So this is a game where Aiden tries to summarize the movie in 2 minutes for those who have not seen the movie. So that means, Aiden, it's spoiler time.
Okay. Pew, 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 pew. Spoiler. Yep. Okay.
Thank you. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Okay. Fuck. Okay. Rich guy. Rich guy. Edward Norton. Edward Norton is on an island and he's hosting like a murder mystery, and he sends invitations out to all his friends. And his friends are like solving a puzzle, and they're like various guys. One of them's like a fitness influencer, like kind of Andrew Tate in the same vein, like that kind of thing. And then one of them's like dumb or something. I don't know. There are other ones. Okay, but there are a bunch of them. And then one of the people that gets an invite is Benoit Blanc. But then Benoit Blanc shows up to the port where they go down the boat to go to the island, and everyone's like, "Why are you here?" And then they go to the island, and yep. But okay, so there's also Janelle Monáe's character, who everyone is also surprised to see there because Edward Norton had ousted her out of the company that they had built together. That made him super rich. And so we're going to the island, and then turns out Ed Norton is also surprised. He doesn't know why Benoit Blanc is here. And so there's a little bit of mystery there. But then as we go on, we learn more about the characters and stuff, and then there's like a dinner,
minute.
Benoit Blanc solves the mystery that Ed Norton had set up for everyone like that, like instantly. But then someone actually dies, and I don't remember who. I think it's Dave Bautista, but Dave Bautista actually dies. And then we kind of go through this thing where it's revealed that Janelle Monáe is not Janelle Monáe. She's in fact Janelle Monáe's twin sister, because the original Janelle Monáe died, and so Benoit Blanc and the twin sister hatched this plan to I think, I don't know, either get back at them or discover who killed the sister. I don't remember. And so then, yeah, okay, cool. And then, so then there's also this like hydrogen clean energy thing that Edward Norton is trying to start. And then, Janelle Monáe gets shot or something, and then she like blows up the island at the end.
Who was it?
Edward Norton was the killer. Ed Norton was the killer.
Okay, there you go. That was what did you miss? Actually, no, including the bit of you actually like kind of very quickly got all the points out at the end. There's like the whole plot about basically what's her real name? Helen's sister created the idea for their company. Cassandra, thank you. And there was like a lawsuit over who actually owned the rights to the company because of the clean energy thing. She didn't trust it, and it was gonna blow up people's homes. Yeah. And so to win control over the company, Edward Norton's character used all of their shared friends to testify against her. So then she finds the napkin that proves she had the idea. He kills her and takes the napkin, but doesn't destroy it for some reason. And then at the end, he does destroy the napkin when Helen finds it in the glass onion. And she's like, okay, but you guys will testify the truth this time, right? They say no, and then they blow up the house. And then they're like, psych, actually, we will testify against you, against the Edward Norton. So yay. Yeah. Are we missing anything?
I think that's it. It's crazy how I missed like all of the details of the actual murder that takes place.
Yeah, and also Dave Bautista has a pineapple allergy, and he died from pineapple juice.
Right. Edward Norton killed him.
Why did Edward Norton kill him again?
Because he knew Edward Norton was the killer.
Oh right, yeah. Okay, yeah. He saw Ed Norton leave the house when he had gone to visit Genoma.
Yeah, right. And he was gonna blackmail him to become like a alt-right news person or something on Alpha News.
What's the company? Alpha. Okay.
Because it sounds like Tesla.
Right. Okay.
All right. So now we're gonna get back into our spoiler discussion. So first off, we have a point from our guest Ethan. Expectation versus reality. What are these Knives Out and Glass Onion movies all about?
Well, I think I've heard from a lot of people that think that particularly the first Knives Out, and to a lesser extent the second one, that these movies are really like really cerebral and like all-time classic whodunits and like the modern, like not the modern day Chinatown because they're different types of movies, but like on that sort of level of quality of movie. And I think a lot of people that don't like the second one, from what it seems to me, that really like the first one, I think their expectations are just way out of whack with what Knives Out actually is, which I think is just a fun whodunit series. And I don't think it's like a all-time great. I don't think they should be nominated for any awards, really. I think they're just kind of fun. They're just kind of fun. And I did think it was fun, and I think they are successful with that. But I just think if you're going into it expecting... Like, I had one guy say that after watching Rashomon, I should watch Knives Out. And then, and I was just like, you guys are delusional. Like, this is not... These movies are not that good. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Who was that?
They're pretty good.
Was that someone I know?
It was someone you know.
Okay. I know.
And I just to me, I just want to make it loud and clear that Rashomon is much better than either Knives Out movie.
Okay, but I just want to clarify. So you haven't seen Knives Out 1, though?
I have actually. I watched it after I watched number 2, and
okay.
I'm not gonna lie. I was pretty underwhelmed with the first one as well. I thought, well, not underwhelmed, but I'd been told that it was the spiritual sequel of Rashomon, and then I was just like, this is okay. It's okay. I don't know. It's a fun movie. It's like the second one. I left it thinking, yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, I kind of have a similar take where like as soon as I saw the first one, I definitely didn't feel as strongly about it as the other ones. Like I was like, this is definitely enjoyable, and I like a lot of what's going on here. And I think that there are a lot of really clever points, but like, yeah, I don't know. Like I never felt like it was like this fantastic, amazing cinematic experience either.
I think suggesting it after Rashomon is a weird take. Personally, like having seen both movies, I actually prefer Knives Out just as an experience. I think, cinematically, Rashomon is probably better at a technical level. But I mean, I do honestly believe that Knives Out is quite the achievement and like, I think if you collected, I don't know, the best 100 movies of the 2000s, maybe at the very least of the 2010s. I think it deserves being on the top 100.
Absolutely, I agree.
Whereas I just something's different about Glass Onion, where it does really slip into the comedy of it. Like Knives Out is a comedy murder mystery, and I think people who forget that its main intent is to like make you laugh basically and like spoof off of I wouldn't, maybe not spoof, but you know, it's not supposed to be super clever. You know, watching it again, I was like, yeah, some of these things don't really make sense. Like Benoit Blanc in the first one is like, well, slight spoilers. He's like, you know, you thanks. You switched out the vials, right? You use the wrong vial, and that's because you have a good heart and you're a good nurse. And it's like, no, a good nurse would read the fucking label, frankly, before they delivered morphine or something, you know, not deadly. So
Yeah.
There's holes to be poked for sure.
When you say it's an achievement, are you talking about writing mostly?
Yeah. Okay. Maybe not an achievement. Like, I don't think it's, you know, there's nothing. It's not going to be on Sight and Sound in the future, right? Like, it's not something that's going to be remembered 100 years from now. But I do think it's a great movie, and it's one of my, you know, top 100 favorite movies, maybe top 50. Like, I personally really enjoy the first one, whereas I don't think the second one hits that mark. But
Well, I think it's the fact that Rian Johnson innovated the genre. Like, it's not just a typical detective mystery.
Sorry, what? He innovated the genre. What genre did he innovate?
Well, I watched this video essay on Knives Out actually, and I think it actually explains the point really well. He said Knives Out is not just a whodunit murder mystery. It's actually 3 different films. One, like, it starts off with a murder mystery, and then it is sort of, as I think it was talking about, like, I think Benoit does a coin flip in the first movie quite often,
Yes.
and oftentimes that correlates to when the movie switched genre. Because, like, in the middle of the movie, it's a chase sequence, and then in the end, it's like clever deduction again. So it sort of incorporates the best of several different genres and then puts it all in one film, I think. And he explains that's why you think this movie is so entertaining. Is because you're not getting the best of one genre, you're getting the best from 3 different genres. And I think that's super smart.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I can see that. It is still just like a murder mystery comedy, which is not a genre that he invented. I mean, most famously, Clue from what?
Oh no, I'm thinking it's more as an innovation instead of like an
1985.
invention. It's like he elevated the genre. He didn't invent it for sure.
I will say though, I agree with you, Alex, that like I did definitely feel like there was more going on and perhaps a more concise and clever story for the first one than the Glass Onion. And I do think that the Glass Onion also does lean into the goofiness a little bit more.
Well, let's talk about that. Actually, that's one of our points. I think that the comedy of Knives Out is very much like very well written dialogue, and sometimes it's more like situational comedy, where I think a lot of the humor in Glass Onion is more very quick visual gags, which I think, you know, it's still a valid form of comedy, but it's not quite as intellectual. It's a little bit cheaper, a little bit lower brow, I think. You know, definitely easier for more general audiences, so maybe that was the appeal in trying to expand the Knives Out audience. But like, there's that one shot that Aidan can attest I found very funny in theaters, where Benoit Blanc hides from somebody using a statue, and his head is covering like the butt crack of the statue.
Yeah.
And I just found that hilarious.
Oh yeah.
There's a butt on screen, right? Like, that's kind of the level of humor in this. And while it is certainly funny, it's not quite as clever. Yeah.
Well, and also I think, like, if you compare it with the first one's humor is a lot more contained than this one, in my opinion. Like, for example, the most famous joke in the first one is the donut hole. Like there's a donut in the donut hole, so there's another donut hole. Like you laugh about it at the moment, but it doesn't really slow down the story at all. But sometimes in this movie, they sacrifice the pace for comedy quite often, actually.
What do you mean?
So like they do comedic moment for the sake of comedy, not for the sake of progressing the story.
I think that's a great point, actually. It reminds me of well, okay, it leans a little bit into the point about cameos, but there's that one cameo where they're in the gym and Serena Williams is on the wall, and it's like she's.
It's like I'm getting paid here, you know. I'm on the clock.
Thanks, Peter. So it's a moving poster of Serena Williams, and it's a picture, and then it's revealed that yes, it's actually a live video feed, and so she's like, "Yeah, I'm getting paid by the hour. Do you want to do this tennis lesson or not?" Thanks for ruining the joke, Peter.
My bad, bro.
But
you can edit it. You can edit it. Use your editing.
Sure, that moment it does halt the plot. I think you're exactly right. That's part of what maybe I don't like about it. And I think some of the better jokes play into the plot. So one of my favorite lines is, basically everyone has a reason to. I think it's part of trying to figure out who would have a motive to kill. Edward Norton or something.
Yeah, and they all kind of do.
Yeah, and so the thing about Kate Hudson's character is that she ran sweatshops in.
But she actually.
No,
yeah,
don't you dare,
yeah,
Peter.
Let you tell the joke.
It's sweatshops somewhere, and she got confused in the email. She thought sweatshops were places where sweats get manufactured. Literal sweat shops, which I found so funny.
Like, oh, that's perfect.
It's witty dialogue. It plays into the plot, right? Like I think those jokes just work better.
Yeah, now that you say that, I do remember, like, in Knives Out, there was a lot of something is said or something happens that you kind of dismiss, and then it comes back later, and you don't realize that it's going to. And I think there's a lot less of that in this, where there is just, like, a throwaway gag, and it is just a gag, and it's not something that is referred to again.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to think, like, another line from Knives Out that I really like is... how does he say it? It's
Wait, is it Ransom?
Let's talking to Ransom when he goes eat it, and then there's the line that Zod, whatever his name is, I can't think of, Michael Shannon, and he's like, "Do you want a cookie, Hugh?" Right, like he's shaking the cookie box at Ransom. Oh, I love that movie so much. What else did you guys find funny from this movie, Glass Onion?
Do so many things, man. Okay, first, can we talk about Among Us?
Sure, I guess.
Sure, let's go and do
it. Okay, first of all,
people are fucking obsessed with this joke. It's not that funny.
The fact fucking Daniel Craig, like a classy British gentleman, is shirtless in a tub playing Among Us on his laptop is some of the best comedy we've got this year. It's funny.
He's not
and
he's
British playing with a bunch of old people and screams like, "Oh my god, how do you know I was a killer? Oh my god, I fucking love that."
That scene was so fucking stupid.
It's so good. It's silly. I'm not saying it's not, but it's so fucking. It's peak. It's peak.
That was the scene where I strapped in and I recognized exactly what the movie was going to be. I was like, okay, like this would have never appeared in the first one. Like, we never would have had this gag, and I was like, okay, that's what it is.
Dude, the fact that he wrote this and Daniel Craig agreed to act in this is just amazing.
I was you can attest to this, Alex. I was laughing my ass off when that happened. I thought that was so funny. But I also agree that it's dumb and probably shouldn't.
Absolutely,
be in the movie,
it's really
but
silly.
I think it's really funny.
Yeah, but it's so funny.
So for those who didn't see the movie yet, you should. But the Among Us scene, basically, they're playing. Benoit Blanc is playing Among Us in the bath, and he's on a Zoom call with Angela Lansbury in her probably last role, posthumous role. Stephen Sondheim in his last and posthumous role. Natasha Leone of Russian Doll fame, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who is a basketball player.
And also in Airplane.
And He's an airplane. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's the movie.
And
It's a movie.
Yeah, he's
It's
the
a movie.
pilot. He's the pilot in the airplane.
Oh, in Airplane. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, I do know who that
He's
is.
also
Yes,
been
right.
on an airplane before.
I thought you said he was an airplane, and I'm like, if that's a joke, like, sure, I guess. But
his
yeah,
nickname.
so I think, yeah, basically the Among Us scene is a really good encapsulation of the kind of comedy this goes for. And the cameos just really do not stop after that point. I have a list in front of me of all of them. So Yo-Yo
Come
Ma,
through because I don't remember a lot of them. Yeah.
yeah, Yo-Yo Ma, the
Wait,
cellist.
Can I make pose a cameo that I was very curious about that I feel like they never revealed because I didn't wait for the
Let's hear
credits.
it.
Is Ethan Hawke the guy that does the
Yeah.
COVID thing? That was so weird.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
It's actually sad because I would want him to be in the movie as an actual role. He's such a good actor. Right. Okay. I just wanted to see what his name is. He's credited as Efficient Man
Efficient man. Wow.
because he wants to get the COVID thing done quickly. He's efficient.
That was another thing where I was like, oh, okay, he's going to come back and be someone. And I had that in my head for like 25 minutes, but I was like, oh, no, there's no way. That's not
Dude,
gonna
I
happen.
thought the COVID spray had something to
Yeah.
to do with the actual mystery.
No, like that was.
Yeah.
I don't know if I realized it at the time, but it's pretty clear that it does two things. It means, although we want the movie to be set during COVID times, we don't actually want to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Right. So then very quickly we're like, oh, COVID's not a problem. Take your masks off. Right. Which is kind of fucking stupid, but I guess it was filmed in 2021. So it was kind of like COVID was more of a thing, I guess. And the other thing,
COVID's not real anymore.
no. Yeah.
Just kidding.
The other thing is it introduces the fact that Dave Bautista is allergic to pineapple.
Right.
Does deliver the line during that moment. So that's the point of the scene. But yeah,
Yeah,
it
but
is quite silly.
To expand on my point from earlier, like I feel like in the first one you would have picked up like, okay, you establish the pineapple allergy, you do the COVID thing, but there would have also been something else in that would have come back, and you wouldn't have like, I don't know, like it felt more throwaway. I've already said that, but yeah.
But I think at least the Ethan Hawke cameo was one that like that was a respectable cameo. It wasn't stupid, like that was like, here's a famous actor seriously playing like a real role, even though it's short, and so I like that one.
Sure.
There's also Hugh Grant plays Benoit Blanc's partner or husband. I'm not sure if they specify, but I like that. I like that joke. That was pretty funny. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who has worked with Rian Johnson at least once in the past with one of his earlier movies, Brick. He was apparently a police officer in the first movie, Knives Out, in a cameo role. And in this movie, he plays the hourly dong, the voice of the clock.
That's so funny.
dong.
I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ryan Johnson also did Looper, right? Which is Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
He did,
yes. Thank you. I knew there must have been more collaborations. Yeah. I guess the only other cameos are Jared Leto is name dropped for his kombucha brand, and Jeremy Renner as well for his hot sauce.
Is that real? Does he actually have a hot sauce line?
I don't think so.
They should have brought up the Jeremy Renner app.
Yeah, that would have been delicious.
That would have been really good. Yeah. But I think those are more the lowbrow, like just like a name drop. That's what we're stooping to.
Yeah.
It's funny, but it's definitely not clever. Ethan, what did you think about the comedy?
I think the cameos are pretty dumb. Like when I saw Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when they were playing Among Us in the Zoom, I was like, oh, that's really stupid. But I think I usually have like a tolerance of about 2 of those that I can take before I can like not enjoy the movie anymore. And I don't think they really pushed me past like the 2 unforgivable jokes. I think I was still in the range of being like, yeah, this is okay. Like I mentioned it earlier, like when in Black Panther 1, when what's her face says, "What are those?" That was such an unforgivable joke that I almost couldn't watch the movie anymore. And I didn't think there was anything that bad in this one. But I don't know. I agree with what you guys are saying. I definitely don't think it was overly clever, most of it. Yeah, I don't know. Well, you guys have pretty much said what I was thinking on it. I think it's like a lot of like zingers, like one line zinger type comedy.
I love zingers.
Well, also, I think Johnson is very good at doing physical humor. Like that one scene with the hot sauce, you know, like the fake blood, but it's hot sauce, and it's slowly rolling down. What's the actress name? I forgot.
Janelle Monáe.
Yeah, slowly rolling down her face. I think that scene's well done. Everyone in my theater laughed. So
I don't remember that one.
Basically she puts it on herself to appear dead, and then it slowly rolls a droplet of the hot sauce into her nose, and maybe also her eye.
Her nose, I think.
In her nose, and then she has to pretend to play dead. But that didn't amount to anything, so I was kind of like, okay, and
I will say though, now that I'm thinking about it, I thought there were a couple jokes that were pretty hysterical, particularly with Kate Hudson.
Oh, she's so funny, yeah.
Her character, like the one, all the stuff about her, why she's been canceled on Twitter, like the one about she's like it was a tribute to Beyonce and no one understood. I thought that was really funny, and I can't remember all of them, but I did think there were several jokes like that were really funny. When I do remember when I watched the movie for the first time, I left the movie theater thinking generally it was still pretty funny. So
it's certainly funny.
Yeah,
I think it's just like what kind of humor they're going for is, I don't know whether it fits the brand or not. But you bring up a good point with the Black Panther, what are those bit, and with the Among Us. I think that just points out that maybe what's not quite as funny is pointing out meme culture, and
it moves too fast. It moves far too fast to ever be included in a movie.
Exactly. So from writing stage to filming stage to by the time it gets released, it's not funny anymore. It's exactly that. It's old. It's out of date already. And I think also just like you have to be on Twitter to understand some of the jokes in this movie, which as someone who's like on Twitter, great for me, but I think there's a chance that things like that might alienate audiences who aren't as familiar with internet culture. Not a problem for us, obviously, but internet humor just doesn't really translate to film anyways. Like it's something, it's weird, Aidan?
Yeah, I was gonna say like the only time that I feel like I've seen it done that I think I've seen it done well where like internet culture is referenced was the movie 8th Grade, and that's because it was like very specifically in an era of the internet, and like it wasn't it's part of the point, and it wasn't trying to catch up with a trend and be like, look guys, look, like we know what it is. It was just like, this was what like middle schoolers were thinking about in this era. And I think I think you have to situate it within like a specific era. Like you could do it in the era where it's like everything's like Chuck Norris and bacon, and
that would be hysterical.
Yeah, I think that would be cool.
I think that's funny because like there's enough distance for those ones.
Yeah.
Whereas like when you're trying to hop on a trend but just slightly missing the train, instead of looking back 10 years and being like, Chuck Norris was a big thing back then, and then you can do kind of like a retrospective.
It becomes like timeless when you can just look back and ironically appreciate it a little bit. So I think that's the mode for that.
I think that's true. And kind of in a similar vein, I think that the movie's handling of COVID is also similarly not perfect, in that just like the meme culture and like trying to include that into film, incorporating COVID makes it dates the film. And even a year later, when most people aren't wearing masks to theaters anymore, which usually I'll try to wear my mask after I'm done, my popcorn. But it's like, the characters are doing all the jokes about COVID, and it's so old already, right? There's a joke where Kate Hudson has the mask that's not even a mask. It's just a bunch of lines of like thread. Other people, have it just under their nose, so like their nose is out. Like that was funny last summer. It's not funny now because no one's wearing their masks anymore.
Sure. Yeah, I didn't mind it because Yeah, I didn't mind it too much because I again, like, I felt like it was just like, oh, it's set at like this point in COVID, and I felt like it wasn't lingering on the COVID jokes very much. I think
Absolutely. I'm with you.
it
They
kind
do
of
away with it quickly.
it kind of knew that we weren't going to be like, that's like COVID. I know that one in real life. And so like, yeah, I thought it did a good job. Like the mask gag you're talking about, if unless I'm misremembering it, I don't even think they reference it with dialogue. I think it's just a shot of her like with it, and I think that's fine because I think it also works with like just like character development. Like it just tells you something about this person, and I think it can be appreciated as just a detail of costume. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also I feel like it's really like it's not healthy to get like too much into humor because humor is subjective. Like you're not meant to get all the jokes. It's meant to like capture most of the audiences with this joke, but you're not meant to get all the jokes anyways. So like as long as you had some fun out of it, I think it's done its part. It's achieved its purpose.
That's fair. Ethan, what do you think?
About the COVID? About the COVID?
COVID.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels pretty strange watching COVID in movies, but one thing I was thinking to the benefit of the costume designer is I think you can kind of like what Aidan was saying. Like I think you can really like add some interesting color and texture and what have you to a character with their mask. Like I thought Daniel Craig has this really nice like maroon mask with like white dots. And I know you guys won't remember, but I just watched it yesterday. But and I pictured like that is the exact type of mask that like people working in like the fancy part of our downtown, like the Exchange. I guess everyone that listens to this is in Winnipeg, so the Exchange. That's what the kind of masks that they were wearing, and I just thought it was like, well, like, clearly, like, I mean, we already know who Benoit Blanc is, but like just like those little things, like versus if he was wearing like a Punisher mask, like immediately, like what type of person, or at least a little bit of what type of person it is based on like their mask. So.
Yeah, what type of mask is Dave Bautista's character wearing?
None.
Or is it
he was
none
unmasked.
At all? Right.
I think he's no mask, and and Catherine Hahn has like a neutral gray one on. I think
hers was the below the nose one,
right?
And then Leslie Odom, I think, was just wearing.
You know what? Speaking of the humor, I have to say this, and I don't know if they intended this, but Leslie Odom Jr.'s character was literally wearing like the Yankee with no brim, minus the Yankee side. Yeah, like it's like a snapback hat, but it just has no brim. And I thought if they did that on purpose, they never reference it. They never mention it. They just like let it happen. And if they meant to do that, I actually think that that's a perfect example of how that could be done well. I thought it was hilarious. Like I was laughing for no reason throughout that whole scene.
Sorry, I don't understand the reference.
Yeah, I don't understand.
The Yankee with no brim? What?
No, I know exactly. I know the costume he was wearing, but
you don't know like the meme though.
Like there was like a video. There's like a video going around of like this guy, I think in New York or something.
I have the video in front of me.
Yeah, and he's wearing like a custom Yankee hat with no brim on it.
It's a good short video. It's called Yankee with No Brim. Shockingly, it's 10 seconds on YouTube.
Yeah, so that was they won some points back with me. They meant to do
that. They don't call attention to it. I think it's just a costuming choice. I was gonna ask Ethan, have you seen any movies where they do address COVID that you liked how they did it?
If you give me a second to look through my letterbox, I could find one. I just watched one not long ago that I thought actually did a good job. But I can't remember.
This year alone, Tar referenced COVID and
also 3,000
years of longing. Yes, referenced COVID pretty heavily in that one.
It might have been that one.
I can't think of anything else.
I think that might be it.
Most movies try to avoid it as much as they can.
Everything Everywhere didn't do it at all, right? I don't think.
No. Good that they didn't. I think. anyways, if you find something, you can let us know.
Yeah, I think it might have been 3,000 Years of Longing, but I think I
Yeah.
thought that however they did it was quite good. That's all I have to say on that.
Yeah.
Fair enough. We were kind of talking about the cast a little bit. This ensemble cast, I mean, that's part of the appeal of these Knives Out movies, is get a huge ensemble cast of great actors, comedic actors, and put them in rooms and see how they, go off. Who would you say were your standouts in this movie?
Well,
Let's start with Ethan.
if we ignore Daniel,
Or
I think
not.
Daniel
Let's
was
not
great.
start with Peter, let's
okay.
start with our guest Ethan.
Peter can go first, and then I'll go after. He's already started the train. The train.
Okay.
It's gotta.
Can't derail
I'll keep it nice and short. So, I think Janelle Monáe, absolute MVP. She
Really? Interesting.
The fact that she's able to play two parts and sort of like one character, two different variants so seamlessly, absolute goated. And second place, Edward Norton. That's my ranking.
Really?
Two variants, one might say, like two different Among Us skins.
Oh my god! What? How does that even make sense?
It's just like that.
Yeah.
Janelle Monáe I think does a good job, and Edward Norton. No, I really liked Edward Norton. But let's hear from Ethan. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought I feel kind of weird about the whole ensemble casting because it's just a little bit like Endgame-y. I mean, I know it stretches much further back than Endgame,
Okay.
but like it's just like the same sort of thing when people are like, "Yo, I know them," and I feel like half of like what they're like, it's almost like a marketing tool to have the ensemble cast more than it is like that much of a benefit to the movie, in my opinion. But I think Janelle Monáe was great. I thought she was really great. I thought Daniel Craig was great. And, one thing that I think is much better in the second Knives Out than the first one is Daniel Craig is a little bit more on the sidelines for large stretches of the first one. And I thought he is the best part of the series. And I thought he was good. I thought he was very good in the second one. I thought Dave Bautista he really cracked me up. And they just timed it so well with like the whole Andrew Tate stuff. Like there's no way they like knew that was coming, but like they just got so lucky with that. And I thought Dave Bautista like knocked that like shtick out of the park.
Yeah, there's one of those guys that gets really popular like every few months. I feel so like I do think it's like that was a moment of them having like their finger on the pulse like fairly well.
Yeah.
No, I love Dave Bautista. I think he's the best of the wrestler turned actors. The others being John Cena and The Rock in that order of talent. But like every role Bautista has done. Actually, sorry, that's a huge lie. I haven't seen so many of his movies that are like trashy. Like Stuber, he did Stuber. He did a movie. Was it something Spy where he was like the Tooth Fairy kind of thing?
Yeah,
where he did the Tooth Fairy, like the Dwayne The Rock Johnson did the Tooth Fairy. He's got to do his version. That's something else. But even Jackie Chan did that actually with The Spy Next Door. That's a movie I remember. Anyways, I digress. But Dave Bautista has some really good roles under his belt. People don't like to give it credit, but his role as Drax is pretty solid. He's very good in Blade Runner 2049, I think, in the brief role. He has very good like character actor small roles, I think.
Mm.
And it stays true here. He doesn't make it through the movie. But I really like him and the work he's done. I think he should keep doing that more arty stuff, but
well, he is still in Dune.
Sorry.
He's still around.
Oh, Dune, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that was the other one, yes. Like, he's in, like, real movies, whereas The Rock is doing Black Adam.
Fake movies.
Well, it seems like a fake movie, Peter, if I'm being perfectly frank with you. Sorry, Aidan, I took...
Your name's Alex.
It sure is. Ethan, your comment about Endgame, though, is actually kind of interesting. Like, yeah, I feel like it is a bit of trying to appeal to audiences more so than like, you know, if you choose to cast unknowns, you might get something different and interesting there, but choosing to go for an all-star cast is part of the like the marketing appeal, really. So that is a fair point, I think. Who would you say is your MVP, Aidan?
I really liked Kate Hudson, like we were already saying. I thought Catherine Hahn was really good too. I also I mean I like the whole cast. I mean I'm just naming like most of the characters, but yeah, I mean I liked The Rock a lot. I liked Edward Norton. But
wait, The Rock. Cameo.
I like Dave Bautista, but no, actually, I think my MVP for this one was in fact Daniel Craig. I agree, he was really fun in this movie, and I think he's clearly having so much fun with these movies. Yeah. So yeah, and I think that bleeds through, and I think it was really fun to watch.
No, I'm very glad that this is a character we've decided to create a franchise around.
Yeah,
I think Daniel Craig just. He's very good at that character.
And I also I feel like in the Knives Out, I was like, man, like I can't tell, is he supposed to be legitimately a good detective or not? Sometimes he's fucking stupid in the first one.
Well,
and and this one I like that, like, oh no, he's a great detective and he's like very good at it. And I liked that was a major part of this one.
I thought, because I had the same question. I remember seeing a video that's saying that Knives Out is fun because Daniel Craig doesn't solve everything right away. It's sort of him and this Ana de Armas's character, like two clueless people stuck together trying to figure it out. That's what makes the first one so entertaining.
Benoit Blanc is not stupid. He takes some time to arrive to gravity's rainbow. That's what he says in the first one. He says he strolls leisurely to the terminus of gravity's rainbow.
Dude, that's good. That's really good accent work.
I know.
Holy
it's
shit.
good. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I think it has more to do with him keeping secrets. So like in the first one, he doesn't reveal that he knew all along that Marta was involved because of the blood stain on her shoe.
Oh, right? Yes.
He plays the long game. He plays the gravity's rainbow game. And in this one, right, he had to play dumb because he had Helen as Andy, right?
Right.
It's funny, my two MVPs, maybe not MVP, but like people that I thought were really good in the cast are ones that the three of you did not mention. Jessica Henwick plays an assistant. I think her name is Peg, and she's a bucket hat. And I really liked her performance. I always was like trying to look for her in the wide shots because her reactions were usually very funny. I think also like she's playing a youth, which might just appeal to me. Like everyone else is just kind of older, so like I was like, yeah, that's how I would react to. And I also really liked Madeline Klein as Whiskey. She's got some funny moments, I think.
Dude, but honestly. Sorry, Aidan, go for it.
I was just gonna say, I think it's funny. It was funny to see. What's her name? The first person you mentioned, Alex.
Jessica Henwick.
Jessica Henwick, because she was in. I don't know if anyone saw Iron Fist, and she's like one of the few people putting in like a good performance in that show, like in like a very terrible show, but show that I think it's fun. It's fun to watch because of how stupid the main character is, but like. Yeah, I do support her just for that because I kind of like that show does have a somewhat special place in my heart because it's so dumb, but it's so like kind of fun to watch it sometimes.
Yeah, she's also in the new Matrix, which I never ended up seeing. She's
not very good.
The rabbit person or something. I have a question for you guys. Oh no, Peter, what were you gonna say?
Dude, I was just gonna say that Jessica Henwick usually plays like such a badass, and you just see her in this assistant role and just like, whoa, which universe are we in?
I love a good playing against type, which is also what I think makes Benoit Blanc so appealing, because for the exact same reason, really. I have a question for you about accents. What did you think about Janelle Monáe's Helen accent?
I don't remember thinking.
Which one is the accent? I can't tell. What's her normal voice?
The one with the accent, Peter, is the accent that I'm talking about.
Well, everyone has an accent, Alex.
Yeah.
The southern accent, right?
I thought that was very great.
He talks like this. Like, hey, Benoit, I gotta find the murderer of my sister.
She's Sully.
Yeah,
You saw it. Yeah. I thought it was like a joke. Like when we first see Helen with the mask on and she's at the door and she's like this. Like I'm doing an action for the listeners at home. And she's like, Benoit Blanc. Like I literally thought it was Andy in disguise.
Oh, really?
And it took me maybe 10 minutes to be like, oh no, this is it. This is a new character.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't have
yeah.
that at all. I thought it was convincing enough. I didn't notice. I remember you in the theater, like, laughing about something, and I could tell that you thought the accent was bad, but I remember thinking, like, oh, no, I think it's fine.
It's just silly. Like I think in a movie where you already have one Southern character, like that's it. Like not to say that Southern people are silly, but
I like that they formed the Southern duo. I thought.
Well, I mean, and also it's very nice that you're able to like distinguish like who is she right now. You know what I mean? Like when you hear
yes.
like the more high class, I don't even know like how do you describe the other accent? Like when
regular.
you hear the regular accent.
Sorry.
Regular.
I say that ironically because I know it's not the normal voice.
Yeah, when she's actually speaking like a normal fucking person. Like, that's what you
Whoa. Yo, thin ice here.
It's just Southern. It's just Southern.
Yeah, it's just yeah. Anyways, speaking of Southern characters, there's something that I figured out when I was writing my Letterboxd review for this movie. I think part of why this movie does not work for me, where Knives Out works so well, has to do with its characters. In that, in the first one, the lead character is indisputably Marta, and it's her story in which Benoit Blanc is a supporting character and kind of dips in and out of the plot. Whereas in this movie, Benoit Blanc is probably the main character, and Helen is the supporting character, I suppose. And I don't think that works. And at the very least, it doesn't work for me. I think that Benoit Blanc is someone who, I love him as a character, but I think his role in these stories should be as a supporting character, helping, who just kind of like shows up and helps, kind of thing. And I think the issue is that in the case, he has no personal stake. It's like it's an intellectual pursuit for him. He doesn't actually what happens in the case doesn't actually matter to him that much. Whereas Marta, it was like, well, this could upend her whole life, right?
Sure.
If she's accused of murder and her mother could get deported, right? Yeah. So I think going forward, at the very least, I hope that Benoit Blanc is moved back to supporting. I just don't think he works as a main character. Still love him, still love Daniel Craig, but it does. You got to know your place, I think. Aidan?
Yeah, I think I prefer him as the main character, but I do think that's a valid point about him not having a stake in the plot. Because I agree, like, now that you say that, that was one of the things I felt with this movie, where, like, you feel kind of inherently disconnected to it because of it. But I think, like, I would rather just see one where, like, he shows up and then, like, in the next one he shows up and then he just gets looped into it in a way that is personally important to him. I would prefer that rather than necessarily it always being about the people that are directly involved in the case. Because I don't know. I just think that's more fun. I think that's what I want out of like whodunits, and maybe it's like a subversion of that, and like I don't know. Maybe there's something I don't get, but like for me, I think I'd prefer to follow him.
That's like Murder on the Orient Express type vibes.
I was just gonna say, is Hercule Poirot the main character, Kenneth Branagh's character in those films? Is he always the lead character? I don't remember, and I didn't see Death of the Nile.
I think usually.
I didn't see any of them.
I'm pretty sure he is the main.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's more like that, which is I think maybe why Knives Out is more interesting, because it's kind of subverting that in a way. But
sure.
Peter, you had something to say.
Yeah, I don't mind that, and I think he does have a personal stake. Like at first, he's sort of just warning Helen, is like, hey, like this can be dangerous. But then when like he started when the gunshot actually happened, that's when like he's actually personally invested. And at the very end, I think we get a very nice catharsis that, hey, I don't have any like power and like legally I can't do anything, but I can give you a simple push to let you, accomplish what you want to be done, which is sort of like getting a little bit of payback, and then also like reuniting like the group of friends. And I think he did that perfectly. Like he's sort of like the catalyst that pushed Helen to do these things, And I think that's a really beautiful way to wrap up the story. Even though like technically like it is like I have no idea the consequence of like burning down a whole mansion, but that's a separate question.
Then you can't post it on Zillow if you do that. Yeah.
I think that you do bring up a valid point that like, to be fair, like he is the one that kind of convinces Helen to go through with this. So like it is on him a little bit, and I think after the twist is revealed that it's in fact Helen and not Andy, I think that he does have a little bit more stake in it. But yeah, I think he still feels a little disconnected from it. Yeah.
I think my issue is that I completely agree that the gunshot, there's that moment where he starts crying in the first time we see that scene where, right, he sees Helen, or I think it's Andy, I guess in that case, die, and he starts crying. And that should be a powerful moment, except it's the fact that they kept it as a twist where I don't know the relationship and I don't believe it. Right. And I think if they had actually developed that throughout the film, then yeah, like if these were people that I actually truly believed were friends, then yeah, sure. Like then I can see, yeah, it's a personal stake for his relationship with Helen. Like this is someone who he admires, right?
Yeah.
Also like the powerful thing is, I think, like you slowly figuring out that, hey, like it's not just a random person who's just like being a bitch all the time just died. It's like actually like there's something deeper. And then like you sort of have this moment.
That's a weird way to describe that.
Well, like she was like being cold to everybody and just exposing
women. That's what we figured.
Dude, come on, don't cancel me.
Cancel. It's too late.
But like I think like there's this like nice and maybe brief moment that you realize that, hey, this is like someone that we're supposed to be rooting for, and like now this all that responsibility is falling on Blanc before the reveal that she didn't actually die. I think that period of time was like where you sort of process the emotional shock as you're slowly figuring out what's actually going on.
Sure, I don't know what the fuck you're just saying right there, but to be honest, but
well, okay, sure.
So I do. No,
see her getting shot, and then we don't figure out that she didn't actually die for a bit.
Yeah, I think that's stupid. So I just want to, yeah. Ethan, what did you think about the Benoit Blanc stuff as a main character?
Him being the protagonist? Yeah. I kind of agree with Aidan in that. My favorite part of the two movies so far is Benoit Blanc, and I would even go as far to say as in the first one, even though I like Ana de Armas as an actor, I got pretty bored of following her. I'm not gonna lie, and maybe it's because Knives Out came out like 4 years ago, and to be fair, I literally knew what the twist was before I watched the movie, so I was never really that invested, I suppose. But like I just got kind of bored of following her, and I think that the whole time I was watching it, I was thinking that I wish Benoit Blanc was in it more.
But did you see Glass Onion before you had seen Knives Out?
I did,
for the first time.
I did.
Okay,
yeah.
So then that might be because you've seen Benoit Blanc as a main character first, and then you see him regress to a side character.
I think that probably is it. I also think I also don't think that in a whodunit, like it's necessarily a good thing to have the detective as the main character, because I also think in like Murder on the Orient Express, like, well, Kenneth Branagh is much less charismatic than Daniel Craig, but B, it just, I don't know, it was kind of boring, like watching Kenneth Branagh's character in that one. So I don't know. I think it's I see it both ways, but I just think because of how interesting Benoit Blanc is, that I don't know. I think it's maybe I think it does work because I don't think that like although he's the protagonist, like I don't think he's the one that undergoes a change in these movies. So it's still like it's almost like there's like a co-protagonist. Like Janelle Monáe isn't like a full protagonist, but like she is the one that like undergoes change for the most part. Like he is not really learning any like crazy lessons.
He's basically a static character.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that twist, though, that we're all kind of alluding to. So, about halfway through the film, it's revealed that Andy, who we see get shot in front of us, so she gets shot in front of us, and then we have to rewind and reveal that, that wasn't Andy. That was Helen the whole time. Andy's twin sister.
Yeah.
What? Which is like how I was like, okay, really? This is
a soap opera plot device.
Yes, exactly what it is. And so I kind of already said this, but I did not believe it for a second. I was like, no, there's no way you're doing that. That's really stupid. And it was exactly what they did. What did you guys think about the twist? Did you see it coming or?
My problem with the twist. My problem with the twist is you could not possibly see this coming. There's no chance you could ever predict this, and I think it's random as fuck. And that's I think my biggest problem with this movie is that in a whodunit, I want to be able to solve the mystery along with the movie, and I want to be laid out enough clues that I could perhaps solve it before the movie even gets there. But I think because of this twist and the way the plot is presented, this movie makes that impossible because you couldn't possibly solve it until you have that bit of information, and then from there on out, it's pretty much just them describing the plot and bringing up things that like there's no way you would guess that. Like there's no way you would know. And so you're trying to piece it together and then you realize you couldn't have, and then it's just explained to you for the rest of the movie. And I wish that it was like, I want them to be like more interactive than that when it's a whodunit, and I just feel like I was a little let down by that.
Absolutely. I think after the twist is revealed, it's just 30 to 45 minutes of exposition that's like it's relentless, where they're literally describing to you the motives of everyone instead of letting you figure it out for yourself or anything. And I think also like it just kind of like halts the story. It's like, okay, we've hit a roadblock. Now we have to backtrack to literally the beginning of the movie and fill you in with all the context that should have been sprinkled throughout.
Yeah.
And it does feel like we've stopped and
and
we're
then
not moving forward.
By the time we get back, we're like, oh, there's not that much left. Like it's like, oh, okay.
Peter has his hand raised. Thank you for waiting patiently. What do you have to say?
I actually quite enjoyed that because I think I agree that there's very little chance that you could figure it out on the first way around. But I also thought it's super fun to like how this movie challenges your expectation and your assumptions. Like when first we see it from Benoit's perspective, we see Dave Bautista looking at Edward Norton's character, and Whiskey getting hot on the bed. We're all like, oh shit, she's cheating on him, But then
I love how you describe that scene. It's fantastic.
And then like when we see it the second way around, it's actually Dave Bautista is actually happy that this is happening because that he wants to get his news network started, and like it's actually a tactical move by him, and he's like yes instead of like what the fuck, And I thought like these twists are super smart. Like they might not be smart in the way that you could see them coming, but they're smart in the way that on the second go around, they all still make sense and they enrich your experience by challenging your expectations.
Sure. But I think, sorry, I have my hand up. Hey,
that's fair. Go ahead.
I think that is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. I can use that scene. Isn't that scene so much better if we have some inkling that Dave Bautista might not be looking at it like it's cheating? Like, what if we knew a little bit about the news network thing before that? Isn't that twist so much more rewarding if you could have predicted it? And then, so that way when we learn what's actually going on in that scene, you're like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, okay. And then instead, what we get now is just like, yeah, it's a different thing than how it was presented. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's literally like it's part of the long-running narration segment where we just have to listen to Janelle Monáe's grating Southern accent explain to us everyone's motive, and I'm missing like maybe 25% of the important words. Maybe I don't remember if it's the accent or just how quickly the exposition is going. So like that scene in particular, it took me a second to be like, wait, what did that mean? And there was no break for me to process what just happened because then we have to go to the next person. It's so like bam, 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 bam. Here's all the motives lined up in a row, and they're just like given to you for free, right? It's very cheap, and yeah, I was not a fan of that.
I don't think so. I think it's more like that you already know something's up, and you already see that the fact that every single one of the friends are reliant on Edward Norton in one way or another, and now you're just like beforehand you're just seeing the puppet. Now you can actually see the strings, you know. And I feel like instead of watching this movie trying to be the detective yourself, instead you can watch this movie as like more of a story and just follow along and enjoy it. At least that's how I watched it, and I really like how it's done.
Sure. Yeah, I want to hear from Ethan. What do you think about all the twist?
Well, I agree with what all you guys are saying. I honestly think I have to side with Peter more, because although I do think it would be more rewarding if there was a possibility of being able to predict it. I, like I was saying earlier, did not come into this movie expecting anything phenomenal, so I was kind of just willing to be entertained by this. And when there was, it's a twin sister, like it was kind of like a soap opera, and I was just like, oh, oh, that's crazy. And I wasn't really, I don't know. For a while, I was trying to predict it, but yeah, like they weren't really giving us anything, so I kind of just gave up on trying to predict it, and I was like, I'm just gonna watch and see how this goes, like, and I was entertained by it. I don't know. Yeah, I was just like, whoa, twin sister, that's crazy.
That's wild.
Oh yeah, she's got a sister. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, I think some movies just they're not built to be clever. I guess that's a fair point. In the flashback, we do see, I don't know if it's a Halloween party or what, but for whatever reason, Edward Norton is wearing Tom Cruise's costume from Magnolia. I did not.
Oh, I didn't get that at all.
I couldn't place it while I was watching, but I heard people talk about it, and then I was like, "Oh my god, that's why like it's so familiar to me."
Oh, that's hilarious.
I've never seen it. I saw in the talking point that you said Magnolia reference, and I was like, I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, basically it's one of the scenes in the original Glass Onion, the bar, and Edward Norton is wearing, I think, like a shiny maroon shirt, vest, and he has the long hair and the ponytail, which is exactly what Tom Cruise looks like in Magnolia. So it's funny because I was like, at least one of you, surely one of you had picked up on that, and it turns out none of us did, which is fantastic. And I think people were saying that it's like it has to do with the idea that he doesn't have an original idea in his life, like he's always copying other people. So I don't know if that meant that like he watched Magnolia and then based his personality on Tom Cruise, which is an interesting choice. But anyways, that's not much to talk about there. Let's talk about Helen getting shot. Question: was it cheap that Helen did not actually die and was like psych like so quickly? I clearly have an opinion on this, but I will wait. Ethan, let's hear from you first.
Yeah, although I, strangely enough, I could forgive the twin sister. I thought her not being dead was really stupid.
That's so funny.
Like, I don't know why. That's where I draw the line. But I was like, man, like, it can't be. I was like, could they do this stupid? Like, I'm not a fan of the shot, the close up of the CGI glass breaking, like a David Fincher shot. I hate that stuff to begin with. So I was already like, they were grading me, and then suddenly. Yeah, like, oh, psych, she's actually not dead, and then actually the tears were hot sauce, and actually the blood is hot sauce, and actually, like, and I would just
Jeremy Renner's hot sauce.
Yeah, and I don't know, I thought it was pretty cheap, and I just think I don't know, like, again, like I was able to get over it because I was just willing to be entertained. But like the fact that the book, Edward Norton shot her
Yes.
like in the book just over
It's-
her heart. I don't know. It's just too.
It's
I know it's
convenient.
I know it's a dumb. Not a dumb movie, but I know it's like a comedy. But like I was like, you guys are really pushing it.
Yeah. It's very convenient that, he shot where the Notebook was. The Notebook's not very big, and that they just happen to have hot sauce on them. Like, yeah, I think you're right that I completely agree with you. Peter, what do you think?
I think that in the moment, I was like, oh, she's 100% dead. Like, fuck. Like, I really like this character, and now we're just learning more about this character. And like, she's dead. Like this innocent girl caught in the mix, just trying to get justice. I was ready to get sad, And I was like, oh, whoops! Actually, there's a book there. Just happened to stop the bullet. Like it felt cheap in the moment. I can't lie, but as the movie progressed and like as we witnessed like the finale, I can't forgive it, but it still felt cheap in the moment,
Don't you think it would have been so powerful for
If
Benoit Blanc's character, if you want to make him the protagonist, make him have a friend and then kill her off? Like that actually would work, I think, right? And then he's invested for real instead of doing this stupid soap opera death fake.
Okay, first, Netflix is releasing this for Christmas. So
people die during Christmas, Peter.
All right. God. Second, I think this would work, but also like, wouldn't it defeat Benoit's purpose? Like his whole point is that he provides the information, but then the character actually figures it out. Like he is about helping people, not being like the guy doing the doing the thing himself.
Well, wouldn't it be interesting if that was like a character
like him taking a stance? That would be cool
over like a trilogy or whatever. Yeah, like I feel like maybe that's what this is, right? He starts as a supporting character, then he's a main character, and then he gets involved. Like I think
that'll be cool. Yeah, that'll be cool.
Aidan, what did you think about the Helen getting shot in the moment?
Yeah, I didn't really feel much about it. Like I kind of had that reaction, like when it's like the twin sister thing. I was like, yeah, for sure. And so like again, like so much stuff happens within that short period of time that it's like when I kind of got to the point where she doesn't die. I was like, okay, well she can't. Like she can't be dead there.
I know, yeah.
Because it just doesn't make sense for the story if she is. And so like I think by the time I realized she was alive, I was just like, okay, I don't think I'm the reverse of Ethan, that I think the the twin sister thing was more jarring for me than the fake out death. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't that put off by it.
Okay. My next question. A big part of this movie revolves around the Mona Lisa and this really stupid glass case that keeps shutting whenever people like snap their fingers or when their phone vibrates, I think. What did you guys think that was about? Because like I kept being like, okay, this is gonna play somehow. I don't know. And like I was literally thinking the whole movie. That was like the only mystery like thing that challenged me, was trying to figure out how they're gonna incorporate the Mona Lisa thing. I think it pays off like okay. I really liked the button moment where it's like, but I installed a failsafe button. So what did you guys think the Mona Lisa moment was gonna be, or anything about the Mona Lisa really?
Well, like you kind of know it's a gimmick, like such an expensive art piece that's famous, and like I mean the way they used it was fine. Like it's like, hey, your fuel source just burned down the most famous painting in the world. No way it's gonna take off now. Like it's that's it.
Yeah. It is a little. There's not a lot there.
Yeah.
In retrospect, Ethan.
I also spent a good chunk of the movie trying to figure out like what the metaphor for that was, and then at a certain point, I decided that I usually try to not try to think too much intellectually about things like that when I'm watching it the first time. So eventually, I just let it go and decided that the general like feeling that I got from the Mona Lisa was that it was like some kind of like wise spirit like watching over the proceedings and laughing like that.
Okay,
That was like
I
the
get
feeling I got from it,
Yeah.
and I don't know, like that's not. I don't know if that's what he intended, but like I thought it was kind of interesting that like the Mona Lisa kept especially with all the shots of the eyes and stuff. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I really feel like the way they did it, especially on the second watch, I felt like this. I feel like it seemed like they had written the script and they didn't have the Mona Lisa thing in it, and they were like, "Man, we really need like one symbol or something
What
to
if it's
like
Mona
in the center
Lisa?
of this movie." They're like, "We just need like a symbol or something. Like, we just need like one more like thing in this script, and then I think we're good." And then they threw the Mona Lisa in. And that's just I think that's kind of how I feel about it.
I love that. We need like one more thing. That's so funny. Peter's itching to say something.
I would say one thing though, like the glass case shutting is like does sow in quite a bit of chaos. Like the fact that one like especially when Duke's death scene, Dave Bautista's character's death scene, like we see him lying on the floor, shattered glass everywhere because like his glass broke, and then it's just silence. But then Mona Lisa's case just kept going up and down because of like foams going off or something. That scene worked. There's already like everyone's panicking, no idea what's going on, and then you have it's just silence, but this case going up and down, just a little bit adds into suspense and also tension in the room, which I thought was cool.
I think that's true. Yeah. Aidan?
Yeah, I had like there's a specific line when they're first introducing the fact that it's there that I remember in the theater being like, oh yeah, okay, like I kind of get where you're I'm picking up what you're saying there, but I don't remember at all. I don't remember at all what that was. I do think that like I was thinking like the thing they say about the Mona Lisa, and they might even say this in the film, is that it's like when you look at it from different angles and stuff, like it's a different expression that the Mona Lisa has.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that like that could lead into this idea of like they're all like fake people, and they all like the big thing of the movie is that like Edward Norton's like built up this persona, and you're meant to perceive him as like this like Elon Musk, like, well, Elon Musk sucks as well, but I mean like this persona, like, oh, he's like this really cool guy and he's done all this stuff and he's a genius, but it's all bullshit, and like it's just like a perspective you're looking at him from, and it's not actually it's not true. Like, and then everyone else has like conflicting motivations, and they all have like they're different than what they present. And then there was something I thought about the fact that there was a glass covering it, and maybe it's the idea of like it's this idea like you're thinking that there's something concealing the truth, but there actually isn't. If you just look it down, like there's actually nothing obstructing the truth.
Whoa!
But I don't know,
bro.
I wonder if maybe the Mona Lisa is a metaphor for Edward Norton's character. Does he have a name? We just keep calling him Edward Norton.
Miles Braun.
Right, Miles. Yeah.
So I wonder if, like, the idea that he's got this glass fortress around him and he's mostly impenetrable, but he has, these moments of weakness, and it's really the thing that weakens him is a stupid thing that he designed, right? It's the dumbass button that he
it's like a court jester as well.
Oh yeah, okay, there you go. Yeah, so like it's this stupid button. It's a stupid idea of his that leads to his downfall. And I like what you said about the like it's so transparent, right? So you can just kind of like see him, and it's maybe the idea is like it's not as deep as you think it is.
Yeah.
For like the Mona Lisa, people think there's like all these layers to it. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a little more simple, but I think also the Mona Lisa ties into like just like it just happens to tie into the more recent climate activists like defacing paintings and stuff like
I was
that.
thinking of that. Yeah.
So no, that's clearly like happenstance just because that happened way after filming, but it is kind of funny that, and I think that was one of the major things that people seeing the movie and reacting to it were like, it's really weird how timely or like how observant this is, just based on what's recent events, right? Things getting covered in tomato paste or whatever. Ethan, did you have a hand raised? I might have missed you for something.
I was just gonna say, Aidan said he didn't remember what the line was, and the version you paraphrased is pretty much bang on what it was. Like he says, like Da Vinci invented a type of brushstroke that leaves no lines, so that depending on how you look at the painting,
Right.
it can either be like super sad or like ecstatic.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Speaking of like how on the pulse this movie is, there's a lot of commentary going on. Miles Braun is a pretty clear parallel for Elon Musk. And I think all the commentary on that was pretty fun, and just like dunking repeatedly on Elon Musk was a great idea for Rian Johnson.
It is funny how much that coincides with Elon Musk, like
Yes.
publicly exposing himself as like a little baby, like more so than ever. Like, I mean,
the signs have always been there, and that's what Rian Johnson used.
Yeah.
But yes, the coincidence is just so good. I can't really like describe it, but and yeah, I mean, just like the idea, the fact that Rian Johnson creates this character that's based on Elon Musk, and then has his probably not his insert character, but like one of his own original characters being like, "You're a fucking idiot," like you're so stupid, and like just like for 5 minutes being like, "It's so idiotic," right? Like I love that.
Oh yeah, and another detail I like is that he's saying like the wrong words, because it's like because the first time
it's not a word.
I was like, is that right? And then I dismissed it from my mind. So that was an example of something that came back that I was like, oh, that's really nice.
Yeah. Ethan, do you have any thoughts on this commentary?
I thought I'm pretty sick of everything to do with Elon. So I was the Elon itself. I just thought was like pretty funny. I thought the Dave Bautista one was the funniest. Honestly, yeah. I thought especially there was something interesting to me about how his knuckle tattoos were like Superman and Star Wars.
I know. I laughed at that too. Yeah,
because I think like a lot of these guys, they just like seep into like symbols like Superman and like I think it was like the Rebels symbol from Star Wars, and they like co-opt it for like their own like. Men have been hunting for 10,000 years, and like it's only in the last 100 years that like men have been like whatever, like that kind of narrative.
Well, I think for that it's a lot of just like the people who are into that subculture are also just happen to be fanboys. Like that Venn diagram is dangerously close to a circle, right? Like, but no, I think it is very astute, those tattoos. Was there anything else you wanted to say about that?
No, I mean, I thought his like underwear gun holster was pretty hilarious.
Dude, the fact that he just fires off shots at the pool was like the most random shit ever.
Yeah, and I did like how his mom just
oh yeah, just casually solves the puzzle too.
Just like smacks him around like.
You, like, it's like, Mom, I'm recording in there.
Did you yell at your mother? Yeah, but I thought, he was good.
Yeah, no, I really like that too. Peter, what do you think?
I think like your comments basically covered all of that. I think what's so interesting for me personally is this relationship Miles has with his friends. It's like this sort of relationship that I've supported your career and I've been like the person lifting you up. And it's really hard to sever that sort of relationship when it gets unhealthy, which like it got exposed in this movie. And I think like the commentary it makes that how difficult it is for people to betray like their sort of like financial supporters is like a real interesting comment on society as well. Like the fact that Miles been basically like carrying them through their careers. He gave them their jobs sort of. And now it's really hard for them they see that he's corrupt morally, but they can't betray him because he has been their sole support as well. And like the movie's subtle commentary and just like making us observe that is very interesting.
Absolutely. Ethan, you have a comment on that?
Yeah, I well, not necessarily on that, but I was just comment on the like the social commentary. I thought actually Catherine Hahn's character was really funny, or a really good social commentary. Now that I think of it, because I'm glad that he didn't just go like all the craziest characters or like the far right wing guys. Because I like how she's like the super like I'm tough on climate change. If you don't like that, kick rocks, like you dirty conservative, whatever. Like, and then but that she's actually a terrible person as well, and she actually doesn't care at all about like her platform. She just like is like peddling the like far left agenda, and she like really only like this deep down like both her and Dave Bautista only care about the same thing, but they're just peddling it on different sides. And I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, I liked how Miles was able to just like cover up everything just based on his connections. And yeah, I think Peter kind of mentioned this already, but like it does speak to society as a whole right now, and so I think that was pretty astute. There's a lot of movies actually this year that came out that kind of tackled these ideas and just like general apathy and hatred for the rich, which is very interesting. So there was this movie, there was Triangle of Sadness, there was The Menu, there was now this might be I don't know if this counts, but Bodies also has a little bit of criticism of the rich, not quite to the extent of the other two that I mentioned, but it's a bit of a trend going on.
Last year, I think Ready or Not came out, which was another. I don't know if you guys saw
that's a long time ago. I think Ready or Not was 2019 or something.
Yeah, but I don't know about release just because things were a bit dicey these past couple of years.
Yeah, I don't actually. Yeah, it could have very well been 2019, but it's pretty recent as well.
Yeah, but compared to the Triangle of Sadness and The Menu, where does this one rank amongst those ones? Does it do the commentary better? Is it more interesting? What do you guys think?
Well, my take on The Menu, we talked about this. Like, I don't think that's what the focus of The Menu is. I know that's definitely in The Menu,
right? But yeah, like it is.
Yeah, no, it's for sure there. I don't think. So I would say like I don't think The Menu is offering anything crazy, but I do.
Get it?
What?
Offering The Menu.
Oh my god! But I think it does a good job. Again, like my general take of The Menu is that it does a very good job of just doing what it wants to do. So I think The Menu does a good job of tackling what it does on the scale. Whereas I've already said this too, I think Triangle like bites off more than it can chew and thinks it's saying way more than it is. I actually think that I had more to think about from this one than Triangle of Sadness, and I would also say that about The Menu. Just in terms of like class commentary. So I would say I would rank both of those above Triangle, to be honest with you.
That's interesting. Ethan?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I didn't see Triangle of Sadness, but I did see The Menu. And honestly, like I think maybe part of the reason why I liked this movie so much when I first came out of the theaters is I really thought they were like right on the beat with the social commentary, like especially like the whole like disruptor angle, how like there's the whole like there's the whole like betas don't want you to like understand that if you just grind and just like and don't break the rules and like don't do it they tell you, then like
that sounds like
you're gonna found like whatever, you're gonna find like Airbnb 2, like you're gonna I don't know, like there's that whole like culture that I think is like at the like it's the cancerous like source, the wellspring of like all of a lot of the problems on social media.
That's like also that's such a like Silicon Valley tech bro, like we're disrupting, like we're changing the game here, like that's such a I thought that was really on the money too.
Peter, what do you think?
Well, I'm with Aidan there. I don't think Menu is about class. I think it's more about how like passion is corrupted over time because of like external, more material things. But I do think Triangle, like I like Triangle, so for me probably like this is above this is below Triangle, but probably above The Menu when it comes to class commentary, at least.
It's funny for me because I think I might have enjoyed Triangle more just because it is I don't know.
Like,
Like
it's
like
supposed to make you think of these things. For
That's
this
what I'm
movie, it's more like a side thing, you know. Like it's what the plot plays into.
it's like I think ultimately Triangle makes me think a little bit more, although I do recognize that so many of its points do not require very much thinking and are very obvious. I keep thinking back. I think it's one of the points Aidan made during our podcast for Triangle of Sadness. The influencer eating the pasta and then not eating the pasta, and it's like, yeah, we know
Yeah.
influencers don't eat the food. That's not
Yeah.
astute at all.
Right, and then that scene goes on. Well, actually, that scene's not super long.
That scene's short, but
Yeah.
As much as like there's those elements, I do think it gets into some really interesting stuff eventually. I think maybe Glass Onion is just a little more even,
Yeah,
and like
for sure.
like the average is just a little bit smarter, and also it just helps that it's a little more digestible. I think it's easier for audiences to understand. As for the menu, like I know that it's not just about classism; it's also about the perversion of art. But class is definitely in there, and I mean, I didn't like the menu very much, so I think this is better. But yeah, Ethan.
I was just gonna say, one kind of strange thing that I thought at the end that they kind of missed the mark a little bit. I think is like, yes, like not I was going to say Miles Teller, Miles Braun. He is taken down, but the rest of them are all scumbags, and they're all just going to get away with it, and like they are kind of just okay with taking down like the biggest one, and they're like they don't even really mention they're like all the rest of them are all scumbags, and they're all just going to go back out and do more scumbag stuff.
Yeah, I felt that way too. I feel like they don't get their comeuppance, and the movie is almost like, yeah, they have a heart of gold, and it's like these people in real life do not have a heart of gold.
No, these are bad people.
Yeah.
That was the second time where I was like, oh, they die now, right?
Yeah.
So Helen is the fake out death. I thought everyone in the mansion was gonna die, and that's why Benoit Blanc had to step outside to save himself. And I thought, like, again, like it's a much darker movie, but hey, Knives Out was a much darker movie, and either one of those scenarios, Helen dying or everyone inside going to hell, which would be fantastic for the metaphor. I mean, but like that would have been such a cool move for Benoit Blanc to just be watching outside the mansion, seeing everything go up in flames, and just know like those people just fucking died.
Dude,
like,
we're seeing the fucking James Bond origin story right here.
Sure. I don't know what James Bond you were thinking about, but I don't know. What do you guys think which is better, Knives Out or Glass Onion?
I think Knives
Out. This
could
be a one answer thing. Knives Out. Peter.
I think they're on the same level because I think they excel in their own regard. Okay. I guess like I haven't seen Knives Out for a while, so I can't say this with confidence. But Knives Out probably edges it out by a little bit. But I did enjoy both of them very, very much. So
interesting, Ethan.
Honestly, man, I think I like the second one more.
That's crazy.
And I'm not like I think like part of it may be because like I knew the biggest twist in the first one before I even watched it, and like several years had gone by, and I'd listened to people like say it was Rashomon 2 and everything, and like I think it kind of like maybe subconsciously I was just like, okay, like I've seen a Rian Johnson movie before. This he does a lot of interesting stuff, but like I don't know, he's just like he's a pretty good director, and he's not. I don't think he's anything more than that, honestly.
I think I agree. He's very mainstream, and sometimes people forget that, but I think he's on the better end of mainstream for sure.
I would agree with that.
I think like he will be closer to Denis, than.
I think he's like 12,000 years away from Denis. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, he's closer. I'm not saying he is.
No, Denis. Like this is when. Okay, I'm gonna step into a bit of like film school guy here, but like it has to do with like auteurism. I don't think Rian Johnson really has an auteurness to him. Like I feel like like I said, it's very mainstream, pretty traditional. camera placement and stuff like that, where Denis Villeneuve is, although yes, being kind of like something that general audiences can take and like it's not too weird. I think Denis Villeneuve has a clear voice in his movies as a director.
I think you can feel it really well. Yeah.
I'll try to get through this quick, and then let someone else talk. But I actually, Steve Yedlin was here in Winnipeg the other month, and I attended the class that he did.
Oh, you did? I was thinking about that. How was it?
It was pretty good, and he was a smart guy, and like he pointed out that the way that him and Rian Johnson work a lot of the time is they really do try to do the scene first, like purely like visually, and their style is to do it a lot with camera moves. Like they do a lot of camera moves that I find are kind of weird, to be honest. But
it's a lot of push-ins. Like watching Knives Out again, I was like, wow, we're just like we'll push into Marta, cut to someone else, and push into Marta again. I was like, okay.
But like,
sorry.
But like an example is like he is like a talented director. The example I was going to say is like the scene where Kate Hudson, I keep wanting to say a different Kate. Kate Hudson has her hat down and she's talking by the pool, and she's talking to Peg, and then like she kind of moves her head and the hat comes up, and then Janelle Monáe is revealed. And he does, which I think is clever, and like he's doing like he's doing it in an interesting way, and he's doing like the gag visually, and I think them together, they do that very well. I just think they do it in a way that is, I was trying to think of what the word is earlier. I don't think it's commercial, but where Denis would do that is more like, I would definitely say it's more artistic, or I don't know. It's a little bit of a gray area, but I just think the way that Rian Johnson does it is more like consumer grade, I guess. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
it's high-end consumer grade.
Yeah,
I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
I do have a question. Last question for the movie for me. We got a lot of movies this year, and I think this one appeared on the top 25 for whoever that was.
IndieWire, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to know, and I'll kind of preamble here for you guys to pull out your letterbox list if you have them, or just at least think about it. But where would you rank Glass Onion for the year? Vaguely. Does it make your top 10? Does it make your top 25? So while you guys figure that out, I can tell mine.
Sure.
But I don't think it makes it my top 10, but it is in my top 20. It's at number 17. I have it under Triangle of Sadness, and I don't know if that's its final spot, but I do have it above Pinocchio.
Really?
Yeah.
Which one? Which Pinocchio?
What?
I'm kidding.
Good one, Peter. And actually, I do have it. I have Avatar: The Way of Water, the movie we did last week. I have it at number 12, so it's actually quite a bit higher than Knives Out. Okay. Is anyone ready to present their thoughts?
Yeah, I'm in a similar position where it's definitely not in my top 10. Like just off I don't have my official list yet, but it's not in my top 10. It's definitely in my top 25 though. If for no other reason than like I didn't see that many movies this year, so you know what I mean. But yeah, I like this movie, so it is in my top 25 for sure. Probably around where it's placed on your list, Alex. Probably in that range,
like 17ish.
Yeah.
Peter, what about you?
I've seen. Okay,
you haven't seen very much.
let me just count. I've seen 25 movies this year. That's released.
You can have a top 25 now.
Yeah.
There you go.
I've seen 25 movies that's released this year. I should rephrase that. And I think it makes top 10 easily.
Again, you haven't seen very many movies though. So
yeah, dude, I've seen. Okay. Let me rephrase. I've seen 60 movies this year. Out of the 60, 20 of them are released this year.
Yeah, I got that.
So
that's not something I'm struggling with here. Okay, that's interesting though. Ethan, what about you?
Definitely don't think it's in my top 10. But I definitely liked it more than movies like Bullet Train.
Forgot about that movie.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably like probably about the same as you guys. It's probably about a 17 or squeaks in at 20, I guess, maybe.
Okay, cool. Do you think it'll get a nomination for Best Picture?
I certainly hope not.
I don't think it will either. I really don't think this is something that.
Dude, yeah, I
the
don't think that's something
Academy's
you
gonna-
submit for Best Picture at all.
Well,
yeah.
Thor Ragnarok or Thor: Love and Thunder got nominated. What is it? They
Submitted.
They submitted. Thank you.
Yeah.
But apparently
No
most movies,
fucking way.
Yeah, I retweeted that.
You're
and I was like,
joking.
literally every
No,
category.
for Best Director too. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, great. No, but okay. I think I heard that there's supposed to be like 10 nominations for Best Picture, right?
Yeah,
Ish.
they just
So
expanded
like,
it over here.
Yeah, like does Marvel just have money to burn or something? Like that's ridiculous.
Okay. To answer that question, I heard that apparently it's pretty traditional for a movie to just submit to everything and just be like, yeah, whatever.
Okay.
They just do it. I don't know why. Peter.
Did Black Panther get submitted for Best Picture?
Well, that's a good question. Like, would that make?
That's really
it
funny
instead
if
of
they
Glass
chose
Onion?
Thor as their front runner over
No, of
Black
course
Panther.
not. No. Like I just said, I think they submit to everything.
Like I
'Cause
think
literally,
the
was
score
like
of Black Panther is amazing and deserves a nomination for Best Original Score.
Okay, well, we're not talking about Best Original Score, but like there was a thread for the Thor: Love and Thunder, like everything it was being submitted for, because it was like Thor: Love and Thunder updates, like one of those Twitter accounts, and it was just like Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting, Best Movie, Best Director, right? Like, and like you could like several threads on, but like okay, so our 10 for Best Picture, Tar maybe, Everything Everywhere. I hope Nope makes it on. Top Gun Maverick, The Fablemans, maybe Avatar, maybe Pinocchio.
Well, okay. Decision to
Triangle.
Leave did get submitted for Best Picture. Just letting you guys know.
That would be awesome if it did.
I think Tar and After Sun should definitely like be serious contenders for this. I think The Fablemans will definitely get nominated. I think Everything Everywhere will win. Still, I think that's
I
such
hope
a.
so.
I really do think like the ball has been thrown to them, and they just have to put it in the net. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like that's such an obvious move for them. Like, I don't know.
I think Banshees could get nominated, even though I hate it.
I love Banshees. Such a great movie.
I really like Banshees as well. I thought it was. I would like to see it.
And it's really fun. I saw Barry Keoghan retweet like his scene with Colin Farrell's sister, like the scene by the lake where like he's trying to get around to say like, hey, would you date me? Like that scene is actually like watching back in isolation. That's a very touching scene.
It's quite good.
Like in the theater, you're just like, hey, haha, that's funny, like, but like watching back, it's very touching.
I think Crimes of the Future should be in there too. I thought the story was maybe a little weak, but I was pretty immersed in like the world that.
I didn't see Crimes of the Future. That's one that slipped through the cracks for me.
I actually thought it was pretty cool. Pretty cool movie.
Yeah. I don't see that one making Best Picture. Whether or not it should or shouldn't, I doubt it will. I just don't think people like that one enough. Anyways, we need to wrap this up.
Sure.
Do people have any final comments about Glass Onion, A Knives Out story before we move on?
I've said my piece personally.
You said your piece. Yeah, great. Okay, you always say your piece.
Yeah.
Peter, Ethan.
I got nothing.
I'm good. Yeah.
Cool. Aidan, we have a segment.
Yeah, so I don't know if the listeners have like noticed, but our podcast is called Predator versus Movies. So we've done the movie part. It's time to get into the Predator part. We asked the question, would the Predator from the movie Predator make this movie better if he was included?
Yeah. So that's what we're going to talk about. And to answer your question, no.
Yeah, that's what I would say too, actually. That's crazy.
What do you, Ethan?
Gonna have to say no.
Peter?
Dude, Ethan Hawke is the Predator. Ethan Hawke transforms into the Predator, swims up the island.
Oh, okay.
And
to be clear,
murder.
you're not accusing Ethan Hawke of being a predator.
Absolutely not. Unless he is. Well, I hope not. He's a great person.
I have not heard anything bad. It sounds like he's a very nice guy. Sure.
How do we?
Efficient man
here?
rips off his skin and becomes efficient predator. I don't know if I could think of anything else.
No, I have no idea. Like
maybe like Miles Braun incorporates it into his murder mystery, and then there's just like creature from the Black Lagoon, Predator chasing everybody around.
Yeah, it turns out Predator's real, and Miles Braun is just an idiot. And he's like, "You'd be so sick if we had Predator." Yeah.
You're an idiot. That's not a person in a costume. It's a real predator.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm still amazed that Daniel Craig came and Ryan Johnson came up with the idea of the Southern accent. Like, I didn't watch many trailers before seeing the first Knives Out, and then when Daniel Craig started speaking, I was like, "Whoa, hold up, what?" I was fully expecting like an English accent. And
the Southern accent did not exist before they invented it. It's like the way you phrased that. It was like, I like how Ryan Johnson and Daniel Craig came up with the Southern accent.
For the character.
Ryan Johnson had talked about experimenting with different accents for every movie and just have him inexplicably change accents every time he shows up. But I think they'd run out pretty quickly before getting into offensive territory, probably. Yeah. But I think Ethan, do you have any ideas where Predator would show up in this movie?
The other thing I was thinking is it'd be mildly amusing if when Janelle Monáe is running around into the various rooms, she comes in the room where Daryl is, like the island bum.
Oh my god, we didn't talk about Daryl!
And then like Predator is just in there, and like and the movie just takes like a hard pivot.
I don't know. Let's talk about Daryl very briefly, but like I didn't find that funny. I was like, oh, okay, sure.
I barely remember.
It's just him appearing at the most random scenario. You're like, oh shit. Oh, here's Daryl.
Yeah. I was like, whatever.
I thought his first appearance was pretty funny, actually.
Just walking across. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think as it progressed, I was like, yeah, this isn't really that funny. It's, yeah. Anyways, I think that's enough for our classic segment. Peter, do we have another segment?
I think we do. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I haven't seen anything in the past 3 days.
In the past 3 days.
But we do have a segment called Predator Picks, where we give our recs of the stuff that we consumed recently.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Peter. Yeah, basically that is it. Ethan, a classic question. What have you been watching this last week, let's say? Anything good?
Last week, I rewatched the movie Cure. It's a 90s Japanese serial killer type movie, and I think it's pretty fantastic. I'd say it's like a 9 out of 10 movie for me. It's pretty great.
Cool.
I also watched Audition. I don't know if anyone's seen Audition. It's about
I think I've heard of it.
It's about a guy who's looking to remarry, and he's buddies with like a casting director, and they decide to make a fake casting post and audition.
Oh, that sounds so cool.
Wife, and then it goes horribly wrong, as you probably imagined. I just finished reading Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And it was pretty good. It wasn't as good as 100 Years of Solitude, which is his most famous novel, and I think it's probably one of the better books I've ever read. So I would definitely recommend that one. Less so Love in the Time of Cholera.
Cool. That's it for you?
Yeah, I would say so.
Dude, I totally expect Audition being like a comedy. And then I searched it up. I was like, holy shit.
Oh, no, it's not a comedy. It's if you're a little squeamish, I would not watch Audition.
It sounds a little fucked up. Yeah. The rest of us, have we seen anything in the past 3 days?
I have legitimately watched more things than a normal episode for this one. I actually saw 2 movies over the past 3 days. I've seen 2 things. Normally I'm the guy who comes in, I'm like, yeah, no, I didn't see shit, to be honest with you. Yeah. But so first thing I watched was Banshees of Inisherin. I was trying to catch up on fucking movies of 2022. I watched Banshees. I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really good. I thought as it went on, I liked it more and more.
Yeah,
thought,
fuck you, Alex. Fuck you.
I thought Colin Farrell was like particularly very good in it. I liked there were some I thought it was like a fairly simple cinematography style, but I thought that there were still like some legitimately like gorgeous shots in it. There's one in particular where Colin Farrell's character is waiting in the pub for Brendan Gleeson's character, and it's like somewhat high angle, and the bartender's like in the foreground, and he just looks so alone. Like it's just such an evocative shot for me. That being said, it wasn't like it's not. I don't think it's in my top 5 of the year. I enjoyed it a lot, but I don't think. Um, yeah, like I thought that like it's fairly simple, but I think that's actually one of the strengths of it. But at the same time, its simplicity is something that kind of holds me back from loving it too much. I don't know, but at the same time, Pearl's simple. I like Pearl, whatever. But anyway, I also saw Decision to Leave last night, which I thought was so fucking sick. I was so excited to see that movie. Like, there's like mind blowing like shots in that movie. Like I'd seen like a little bit of it before, but like the scene where they're interrogating and there's the mirror in the background and the focus is changing between like the reflections in the foreground and everything. Oh, and I loved like the zooms. I loved like it. There's this theme of like of watching and being watched, and like what happens when you're watching, what happens when you're not watching. And I think it's done really well. I think it's like it was like such a compelling movie to watch, and it had like so many good like neo-noir elements to it, like in the style. Like you can definitely recognize like a movie I was thinking about was like Good Time. Like has like some similarities visually, but then also like I'd even say like Altman. What's the Long Goodbye? Long Goodbye. Like there's like some references there, or not references, but like a similar visual style.
And everyone should watch that movie, by the way.
Yeah, that's a really good one. And then also like in subject matter, where it's like everyone's kind of like a little shifty and they're doing things that aren't, you know, the best things. But yeah, I loved it, and that probably is in my top 5 of the year. And so yeah, I'd recommend that one for sure.
Yeah, I think we have to do a pod episode on it, probably sometime in January. We'll try to fit one in.
I would love to watch. That was another movie where as soon as I finished it, I was like, I'm going to watch that again for sure.
Right? Yeah. Like, and I don't feel that way about. I actually will watch Glass Onion again, but I don't feel that way about Avatar. I don't have 3 hours to kill that often. So that's it for you though.
That's it for me. Yeah.
Peter, have you seen anything?
Nope.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay. I saw 2 movies, but like. I don't really have much to say. Like I watched Senior, the Robert Downey Jr., Robert Downey Sr. documentary. I heard some great things, and like it wasn't that good. Like it was okay. It was interesting, but that felt like pretty rudimentary to be honest. And like I don't know. I also watched a Winnipeg movie that I don't like. I could recommend it, but there's no way people in Winnipeg would be able to see this by the time this episode comes out because the last showing is this week. That will have passed.
There's one next week if that's what I think you're talking about.
Perhaps
that's what I'm going to see. So
I watched this movie called Diaspora. Ethan, are we talking about the same one?
Yeah, that's the one. I think the last showing is
I thought it was the 22nd. So
no, I'm pretty sure there's a showing next week. It's like the 27th or something.
Okay, there you go. So, okay, if you're hearing this and you're in Winnipeg, go see it. And I don't know, maybe it has a wider release eventually. I don't know what they're doing with it, but it is a Winnipeg movie. And usually I don't like Winnipeg movies. I haven't seen too many, but I saw one this year, and I was just like I get it. You know, I haven't even seen the Guy Madden one, but like I know that it's a genre unto itself, and I'm just not. Yeah, it's a lot, and I don't care for it. But Diaspora does so many different things that I really appreciated. It's first of all not in black and white, thank God. Like it's actually vibrant. Like I could tell the color correction was like upped up a little bit, not pro level, but like it's very colorful. It's very like it's focused on something. It's about like the Ukrainian and immigrant experience instead of just being like Winnipeg vague, which I always have a problem with. And it's pretty funny. There were some pretty funny moments. Ethan?
I was gonna say I was wrong. It actually runs till the 22nd. I was.
Shoot. Okay, there you go. So yeah, probably won't be able to see it unless they extend the showtimes. But it was a good time, and it was a rare Winnipeg movie that I liked. And I'm hoping to see more in the future. So I can have a stronger opinion on Winnipeg movies in general. But that's it for our Predator picks. So next week we might be doing Babylon. We might be doing The Whale. Probably one of those two. But there's a bunch of things coming out. If you like what you hear and you like what you see, go check us out at Predator V Movies on Twitter and Instagram. Also, leave us a like or a 5-star rating or a review. If you leave a review, we will read it out and we will sing your praises.
Yeah. And we'll love you forever.
And we'll love you forever on whatever platform you listen to. Follow me on Letterboxd at _AlexGordon_. I leave reviews. Aidan?
You can also follow me on Letterboxd at 810sunny. That's 810SONNY. And my name is Wombo. I also sometimes leave reviews.
Thank you. Ethan, would you like to plug something? You don't have to. You don't
no, I got nothing to plug. Other than all this merch that I got to unload. I'm not going to comment any further on that, but no, I don't.
Go buy his vague merch. You find him. You know,
the link is dropping any day.
Yeah, I got a lot of merch, and I got to get rid of it. Really need to get rid of this merch.
So go and buy that merch then.
What kind of merch are we talking about here? Is this T-shirts? Or?
I got spatulas. I got chopstick holders. I got.
Are you in like the
low quality
business?
Bluetooth earbuds.
Oh yeah.
Okay, no, clearly not. Household objects.
I got I got books. I got picture frames.
The stuff people really want.
Yeah, I got cork boards. I can make fake IDs.
Do they have like your face on them? Like this merch, like what is it promoting? Is it for the podcast or
no? You know what? My goal with this merch was to promote the human experience.
Right.
So I kind of decided my brand would be. I thought it'd be really interesting if my brand was completely transparent and there was no discernible features of my brand. Okay. So I'm selling stuff with absolutely no markings whatsoever on them.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you just describing a garage sale?
Yeah, come on down. Come on down.
Okay, check out Ethan's garage sale at 810 SONNY Avenue
in the city of Wombo.
There you go. This is a fun show. Until next time, I'm Alex.
I'm Peter.
I'm Aidan.
And I'm Ethan.
And this is Predator v Movies. See you next time.
Yep. Predator versus movies.